So, we got a short, the prayers are kind of short on the Sabbath. A lot of them, that is. Um, so we'll go ahead and open up with a short shacharit, a short morning prayer. All right, so thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the sixth day, Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because the end he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto Bani Yasha'Allah, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for telling me. My bad. I guess I was muted. It's all good. Once, you shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, it shall surely be put to death. Work therein, their soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh day is a Sabbath of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whoso doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Yasha'Allah shall keep the Sabbath day to observe the Sabbath day throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day refreshed. Hallelujah. It is a good thing to give thanks unto Yahweh. Psalm 92, a song for the Sabbath day. It is a good thing to give thanks to Yahweh and sing praises unto thy name, O Most. He put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 2 cubits and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubim of gold, beaten out of one piece made he them. On the 2 ends of the mercy seat, 1 cherub on the end of the side, this side, and another cherub on the other end of that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof, and the cherubim spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, and their faces one to another, even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubim. All right, so this is the cover for the Ark of the Covenant, and it had 2 angelic figures, as we would call it today, on the top of it, and their wings were facing toward each other. This is the place where the Most High Yahweh will come and sometimes communicate with the children of Israel through his priests or of his own accord. Verse 10, and he made the table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. And he made thereunto a border of a handbreadth round about, and he made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings and places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, 2 dishes, and his spoons, and his bowls, and his covers, to cover withal. And he made the candlestick, or the candle, talking about the menorah, of pure gold, of beaten work made he the candlestick, his shaft and his branches, his bowls and knops, and his flowers were of the same, and 2 branches going out of the side thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick were 4 bowls made with almonds, his knops and his flowers, and the knop made, and the knop under 2 branches of the same, and the knop made 2 branches of the same, and the knop made under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of the same. All of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made his 7 lamps and his snuffers and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it, and the horn thereof were the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the sides thereof, round about, and the horns of it. Also he made unto it a crown of gold round about, and he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, to the places of the staves, to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with pure gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary. Kalasharat Debar Yahweh, Naishawa Nashami. All that Yahweh said, what we do and hear. Next, we'll move to chapter 38, verses 1 through 20. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits was the breadth thereof, and 4 square, and 2 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof of the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all of the vessels of the altar, the pots and the shovels and the basins and the flesh hooks and the fire pans. All the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen grade of network under the compass thereof, or the compass thereof, made beneath unto the midst of it, talking about just like the grill, And he made 4 rings for the, some at the bottom to catch the ashes, the 4 ends of the grate of brass to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the ring to the sides of the altar to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards, and he made the laver, the washpan, the wash basin of brass, and the foot of it of brass, and the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, the brass mirrors that were used at that time. And he made the court of the south side southward, the hangings. Somebody's had a lot. Somebody got some wrestling background noise. Can everybody make sure that you muted, please? I can't see who it is because my screen is not the right way right now. The pillars were the pillar. So like it's kind of that messed me up. And he made the court on the southward, and he made the court on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side, eastward 50 cubits, the hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the south side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars thereof, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen, and the sockets for the pillars were of brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlayings of their chapiters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver, and the hangings of the gate of the court of needlework, embroidery of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court, and their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters, and their fillets of silver, and all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. All right, so that's the reading for the Torah. And again, not, depending on how you look at it, but for most people, it's not going to be, it's not going to be ultra interesting for most people. And that's okay. The Most High understands and knows that everything isn't like a big a big warm excitable reception of information, and some things are just not as engaging. But this is talking about all of the furniture that we had inside of the temple. And just to recap, you got the place to wash your feet. You have the altar first, and then after the altar, now this is made out of wood, but the wood is overlaid with bronze. All right, and it's very heat resistant. And they had all types of instruments and all types of what they call furniture that were attached to it. So you come into the temple complex, you have the sacrifice first, and after the sacrifice, now you got the altar for sacrifice, and after that, now you got the big laver. That's where the priest would, wash his hands and feet at. And of course, they had to keep changing this water regularly so it didn't get stagnant. You have a buildup in it, which means you have to wash it out also. All right, so this is an activity that's going on there. You go inside, you got when it talks about the curtains and the hangings, these are like big tapestries. All right. So you got these tapestries when you walk in and on the outside and at the entrance, made out of linen. This one that we're talking about now, when you first go in, was made out of linen, and it was embroidered. So the whole curtain was just needlework, as they called it. You go in, left hand side, you got the menorah, 6 branches, designs of almonds and flowers on the branches of the menorah. That's on the left hand side. All right. On the right hand side, you have the table of showbread, and then you have they have a cover for it, and you have like a lip going around it. All right, about as wide as your hand, going around all of the table, that table, as well as the table of sacrifice. Um, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have a 5th piece of furniture, which is the table of incense. It's the 5th piece of furniture. That like our prayers going up, and then you go through the Holy of Holies, the curtain for the Holy of Holies, and inside there you have the Ark of the Covenant, and on top of the Ark of the Covenant you have the what they call the mercy seat, where the priest would communicate with Yahweh. Yahweh would say things and communicate and talk to the priest there. So those are the seven pieces that we read about right here. All right. So, and it bears to say that these pieces of furniture have a role, have a place, within our lives also, even in the spiritual realm. So the reading now is going to be Isaiah chapter 14, verses 19 through 27. Isaiah chapter 14, verses 19 through 27. All right. So let's everybody can turn there. Isaiah 19, you got it. Isaiah 19, 838. All right. And Isaiah chapter 19. I'm sorry, Isaiah chapter 41. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 19. Now, this we will be reading inside of the New English translation of the Septuagint. All right, Isaiah chapter 41. Let's read verses 19 through 26, and then we have to go to 42:21. So Isaiah 41, verse 19 through 27. All right, need this? Okay, let's go ahead.
I will put in the dry land a cedar,
Which means cedar needs a lot of water, so that's the blessing and the miracle. Go ahead.
and a box tree, and a myrtle, and the cypress, and the white poplar.
So the white poplar is another tree. Go ahead.
So
All
that,
these are trees. Go ahead.
so that together they may see and know and consider and understand, and the hand of Yahweh,
That.
that the hand of Yahweh has done all these things, and the Holy One of Yashala has exhibited them. Your judgment draws near, says Yahweh, Alahiah. Your counsels have drawn near, says King of Jacob. Let them draw near and declare to you the things that will happen, or speak of the former things, but what they were. And we will apply our mind and know what the last things will be, and tell us the things that are coming. Declare the things that are coming at the end, and we will know that you are God's. Do good and do harm. And we will wonder as well as see. Because whence are you, and whence is your work? From the earth they have chosen you as an abomination. But I stirred up the one who is from the north, and the one who is rising from the sun,
Who is from the rising of the sun.
and the one who is from the rising of the sun. They shall be called by my name. Let rulers come and like potter's clay, even as a potter treading clay,
Trodden. I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead. Treading clay.
so shall you be trodden down. For you shall declare the things,
For who?
for who shall declare the things that were from the beginning, so that we might know them, and the former things, and we will say that they are not true. There is none who foretells, nor any who hears your words. I will give dominion to Sion, and I will confront Jerusalem on the way.
Can you see good today? It says comfort. I will comfort Jerusalem.
No, comfort Jerusalem.
So this is Yahweh saying, if you got these guys, if these people and these systems are supposed to be righteous, huh? And you got gods, all right. He's saying, like, tell them to tell what's going to happen in the future. Tell them to do good in the earth and to do evil on the earth, and tell what did happen and what's going to happen. Not only just saying, okay, this is going to happen in the future, but tell us what's happening or what happened behind the scenes, in the past. All right. So anybody can sit back and say, yeah, such and such happened and blah, blah, blah. But as a God, do good and do bad and determine, what we need to know. Tell us what happened in the past and tell us what's going to happen in the future also. And of course, we know that nobody can do that. But by the power of Yahweh and through Yahweh on the level to prove that Yahweh is definitely working with you. People have tried, but not to the success that we see man doing inside the Bible through Yahweh's power. Chapter 42, verse 21.
Isaiah chapter 42, verse 21. Yahweh Elohim has willed to be justified and to magnify praise, and I saw. And
All right, so the Most High's will to be magnified, and so praise His name. All right. So now let's go into Psalms chapter 70, verse 1 through 6. Psalms chapter 70, verse 1 through 6. Let's read that. Psalms chapter 70, verse 1 through 6. Go ahead. In the 6 verses in this chapter. Psalms chapter 70, verse 1 through 6. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 70, verse 1. Make haste, O Elohim, to deliver me. Make haste to help me, O Yahweh. Let them be ashamed and confounded that seek after my soul. Let them be turned backward and put to confusion that desire my hurt.
So these are things that, King David is writing, but this is what he's asking to happen to the people that want to harm him. May they be confused, may they be turned back, may they be unsuccessful in their endeavors. Go ahead.
Let them be turned back for a reward of their shame that say, Aha, aha. Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee, and let such as love thy salvation say continually, let Elohim be magnified.
Meaning that as much as people are trying to chase us for wickedness, he's saying, let the people that chase after you and rejoice behind you and that seek after you, right? Let them praise your name and they're going to be protected. So the protection is coming from seeking Yahweh and rejoicing, not getting trapped up in depression and sadness and any other negative emotion that you may want to just sink down into when you feel in a certain kind of way. All right, go ahead.
But I am poor and needy.
So here we have David saying he's poor and needy, and this is very important because when you look in Psalms chapter 72, it says that the Messiah, is going to deliver the poor and the needy, which we know clearly this is a messianic prophecy in Psalms chapter 72, just a couple of Psalms over, when he says that he will deliver the poor and the needy. But here we have David saying, well, I'm poor and I'm needy. Go ahead.
Make haste unto me, O Yahweh, thou art my help and my deliverer. O Yahweh, make no tarrying.
So please come and deliver me and help me. And please don't tarry, meaning please don't take a long time to alleviate this pressure that's on my spirit. Okay, let's go to Mark. Mark chapter 10, verse 21 through 25. Mark 10 here. Mark chapter 10, verse 21 through 25. All right, Mark chapter 10, verse 21 through 25. All right. I'm sorry. Matthew, not Mark. Matthew chapter 10, verse 21 through 25. All right, Matthew chapter 10, verse 21 through 25. Go ahead.
Now brother will betray brother to death, and the father his child, and children will rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death.
Yeah, the people that are closest to you are the ones that Hashatan is going to use to destroy you, man. All right? That's who Most High is going to use to destroy you. All right? Yes, Shah Judah and Shah Judah. That's who the Most High is going to use. People close to you. I mean, that's who Satan's going to use. People close to you, man. That's why it says, the brother shall deliver the brother up to death, and the father the child. And the children shall rise up against their parents to cause them to get put to death, right? So that means that when the time comes, man, and you're in the wrong place with the wrong person, you're going to get the wrong, you're going to, I love this thing in. Amari, plug this in for me, man. I thought this was plugged in. Yeah. Excuse us a second, y'all. We had some technical difficulties. We'll be back up and running in a minute. Okay. So yeah, Yahweh was saying that through his son, he's telling us that that look, you got to be in a safe place and you got to be surrounded by the right people. A lot of y'all think somebody got your best interest at heart, but they mess with you because they know you and because it's convenient for them. Because they know you and because it's convenient for them. All right. So this is why we have a lot of things happening. All right. You're not equally yoked with the people that you want to keep in your circle. You're on a different spiritual level than the people that are in your circle. But you're trying to hold on to that old circle. You're trying to hold on to that old family practice, all right, that's going on with you and them. All right. So Hamashiach is clearly telling us that your brothers and your parents, all right, your brothers and your parents, the children are going to rise up against their parents. All right. And it tells you that the father is going to deliver this child unto death. The father can say, hey, yeah, it is my son. And a lot of this, you can imagine, is going to be because you are worshiping Yahweh and you're doing righteousness. So you're going to be earmarked. So husband, not husband, but brother, husband and wife, father and children raising up against the parents and cause them to be put to death. So this is going to be something that's real. So since we know this is real, that means your mindset And your posture has to be prepared, all right, on how to avoid this situation. All right, let's go to verse 22.
Verse 22. And you will be hated by all because of my name, but it is the one who has endured to the end who will be saved.
So you will be hated. And yes, calling yourself a Hebrew Israelite, you hated by Christians and Jews. And most other Israelite groups hate all of the other Israelite groups, whether they call it hate or not. All right, whether they call it hate or not. And the only reason some of them started being nice was because not being nice to you was bad PR. All right. So this says that you will be hated. But it's the disciples of Hamashiach, the true disciples of Hamashiach that are trying to do the right thing that are really hated. All right. And he says that you shall be hated. So if you ain't hated now, you shall be hated. So you got that to look forward to. All right. But if you endure to the end, you will be saved. All right, go ahead.
Verse 23. But whenever they persecute you,
go ahead.
In one city,
Uh-huh.
flee to the next.
So he's saying they were always ready to move. If you get persecuted over here, he's saying just go ahead and move to another city. That's how you handle that persecution. Just keep on going. All right. So he's now remember he's talking to his disciples, so some of it applies to us now, some of it simply doesn't. All right, go ahead.
For truly I say to you, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel of Yash'ala till the Son of Man comes.
So he says what? Two things he's saying here. One thing he's saying is that you're going to be persecuted in a lot of places in your own land. What three things he's saying? One thing is that you're going to be persecuted, in your own land. All right. Another thing is you're going to be traveling different places in Jerusalem, in your own land, trying to teach, trying to bring people the knowledge of repentance and salvation through him. And another thing we see is that the Israelites will be in Jerusalem in the last days if we want to apply this to the last days. All right. So we're still in Jerusalem. We're still there. And he says that you won't have gone over all the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. And we know that his arrival is going to correspond to our presence in Jerusalem, that we're going to be in Jerusalem when Hamashiach makes his return. It won't happen while we're in North America. It'll happen when we get back into Jerusalem. If you read in Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, and you read Revelation chapter 20 very thoroughly. All right, keep going.
Verse 24. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a slave above his master.
So he says that you all are my servants and you all are my students. And what they did to me, you're going to be the recipient of that also. Go ahead.
It is enough for the disciple that he may become like his teacher, and the slave like his master, if they have called the head of the house Beelzebul.
So they called Hamashiach Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, which means he was calling him the demon of death. Go ahead.
How much more will they insult the members of his household?
So now they're going to be disrespectful toward you also. All right. Let's go into John chapter 8, verse 13 through 21. If Hamashiach was disrespected, what makes you think that the world is going to, if Hamashiach was disrespected, the world is going to disrespect those that are following him also. They're not going to open their arms and love. Because why? One of the reasons why is that you're going against everybody. All right. You're going against the Muslims, the Christians, the so-called people that call themselves Christians and call themselves Jews. You're going against all of them saying you're wrong and you're wrong. You're wrong because you believe in the Torah, but you don't follow it. And you're wrong because you don't believe in the Torah whatsoever. And you're wrong because you're worshiping statues. And you're wrong because you're bowing down to a rock. And you're wrong because you're replacing the practices in the Bible and saying that these are new holidays and you're calling them Easter and Thanksgiving, all right? And you're wrong because you're adding and taking away from the Torah and putting more trust in the Talmud than you're putting inside the written word that was given to Moses. So we got a beef with everybody, but then even inside, we have a beef with each other. So that persecution is going to come from everywhere just because of you being you, if you're being you correctly. All right. Now go ahead, John chapter 8, verse 13 through 21. 13 to 20.
So the Pharisees said to him, "You are testifying about yourself. Your testimony is not true."
So they called him a liar. Go ahead.
Yahushua answered and said to them, "Even if I am testifying about myself, my testimony is true because I know where I came from and where I am going. But you do not know where I came from or where I'm going."
Meaning that you don't understand the prophecies. That's what he's telling them. You don't understand the Bible. You don't even have a right to be opening your mouth right now because you don't understand the Bible. You don't understand the prophecy. So you need to sit down and be quiet. You don't understand. Go ahead.
You judge according to the flesh. I am not judging anyone.
So they were condemning him. All right, but he said, "I'm not even. I'm just being who I am. I don't got. I don't. In other words, I don't have to condemn you to be who I am, to demonstrate who I am." Read.
But even if I do judge, my judgment is true.
I'm going outside of the. I'm going from what's in the book. I'm taking the book. I'm bringing those words outside to my understanding, my mouth, and I'm putting them in your ear because I'm going by the book. Go ahead.
For I am not alone in it, but I and the Father who sent me.
So he's saying, I'm working for the Most High Power. I'm working for our Father. So he's saying that my words are true because I'm a servant of the Most High. Go ahead.
Even in your law, it has been written that the testimony of two people is true.
So in the law, we know it says that when two people testify, we see it in Exodus, and we see it being repeated in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1. All right. You got to have a witness. The witness of two men is true. All right. Go ahead.
I am he who testifies about myself.
So he says that I am the witness of who I am, what I'm supposed to do, what my mission is. Go ahead.
And the Father who sent me testifies about me.
So Yahweh also testifies about me, but because you can't connect to Yahweh, you can't get that information. But he left it inside the Bible. He left the testimony and the record of me inside of the Torah, inside of the Psalms, inside of Isaiah. It's all there. So if they were in tune with Yahweh and they were in tune with doing the right thing and were sincere, they would hear the voice of Yahweh through the pages of the book. But see, you don't hear the pages of Yahweh because you're not looking for the Messiah. You're not expecting the Messiah. You don't want the Messiah to come right now. You don't want me to be the Messiah because now you're going to lose your power and your authority, and I'm going to have the last word because I'm sent by the Father to prepare and to help my people get right with the Most High. Read.
So they were saying to him, "Where is your father?" Yahushua answered, "You know neither me nor my Father."
He said, you don't know the prophecies, you don't know the Bible, you don't know about the Messiah, you don't know me or Yahweh. Go ahead.
If you knew me, you would know my Father also.
Mm-hmm.
These words he spoke in the treasury as he taught in the temple area, and no one arrested him because his hour had not yet come.
So he's speaking boldly to them at the treasury, where all of the money is at, where people had money saved, and they had money there that people had given to them. The leadership did. All right. So he's at the temple talking against them, confronting them, and they can't do nothing to him. But why? Because it wasn't time for him to, get killed yet. Go ahead.
Then he said again to them, "I am going away, and you will look for me, and will die in your sin. Where I am going, you cannot come."
All right. So he's saying y'all are gonna die for your wickedness. All right. Romans Can somebody come and read Romans 15, 22 to 33, please? Romans, the water Zayatan. Romans 15, 22 to 23. Yeah, Romans chapter 15. How'd you end up being the one that come up? Why? But usually goes over this youngest on it. Romans chapter 15, 22 to 23. You don't need that. All right, go ahead.
Romans chapter 15, verse 22. For this reason, I have often been prevented from coming to you, but now with no further place for me in these regions, and since I have had many years of longing to come to you.
So now Paul is saying, I want to come, and he wants to go and visit the brothers and the sisters in Rome. All right, go ahead.
Whenever I go to Spain, for I hope to see you in passing.
So Spain is on the end of the route. All right. He's talking to the people in Italy, the Romans. He's going to stop in Rome, and then from Rome, he's going to go on and continue his trip further west in the Mediterranean to Spain. Go ahead.
For I hope to see you in passing, and to be helped on my way there by you. When I have first enjoyed your company for a while, but now I am going to Jerusalem, serving the saints.
So now he's going to Jerusalem to help the tribes of Israel that were left there. And this was a hard time for us that were in Jerusalem. All right, go ahead.
For Macedonia and Achaia have been pleased to make a contribution for the poor among the saints in Jerusalem.
So to give some money to help the people out in Jerusalem that needed help. There was a struggle at that point, and people needed financial help. So sometimes people do need financial help. And Paul is going amongst the Israelites and the Gentiles that he's talking, saying, hey, help out in this cause. Go ahead.
For they were pleased to do so, and they're indebted to them. For if the Gentiles have shared in their spiritual things.
So now he's getting to tell you that he's not talking about spiritual Gentiles. He's talking about physical Gentiles that are sharing spiritual things. Go ahead.
They are indebted to do them a service also in material things.
Natural? What is that?
M-A-T-E.
Material?
Material.
What is it, split up? Okay. So he's saying that you all are physical and they helping you with spiritual. So now you all need to now help them with the physical. Since you respect the spirit of what they coming with and trying to operate in the same spirit that they have, now you share your physical with them. All right. So this is what he's talking about. All right, go ahead.
Therefore, when I have finished this and have put my seal on this fruit of theirs, I will go on by way of you to Spain.
So he's saying, when I got everything taken care of, I'm gonna go to Spain. When I have performed this and have sealed to them this fruit, I will come by you into Spain. All right. So he's kind of going from Achaia and all of that area right there is like kind of between Greece and Turkey. So he's going to leave there, go to Jerusalem, and then come back. So he's doing some traveling. All right, go ahead.
I know that when I come to you, I will come in the fullness of the blessing of Mashiach.
I mean, I'm going to come dropping a lot of information on you about salvation. about righteousness. All right, go ahead.
Now I urge you, brothers and sisters, by our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, and by the love of the Spirit, to strive together with me in your prayers to Allah for me.
So he said, keep on praying for me. I'm begging you. I need y'all prayers. See, at this time, people knew that the prayers were effective, and they had a lot more faith, and they saw a lot more. So they knew, and they were doing the things. They knew what Yahweh wanted them to do in the physical world and what spirit they had to do it with. And they were doing these things. And the Most High was hearing the prayers. Now go ahead.
That I may be rescued from those who are disobedient in Judea. And
so he said, pray for me because, these brothers in Jerusalem, they tripping. I know they want to murder me, the ones I used to work for. So he's saying, send up some prayers for me. Keep praying for me. Go ahead.
And that my
Call your verse.
Verse 31. And that my service for Jerusalem may prove acceptable to the saints.
So he said, pray for me so that what I'm trying to do for the saints, the service I'm providing, will be acceptable. Go ahead.
Verse 32. So that I may come to you in joy.
So he said, I want to come to you with not sad, not depressed, and not defeated, and not defeated. But I want to come having accomplished this mission, and I want the brothers and the sisters at Jerusalem and Judea, I want them to accept me, because they had a problem with Paul because of his former job working to collect the believers in Hamashiach, round them up so they can get put to death. So that was his former job. All right, go ahead.
By the will of Allah and relaxing your company. Verse 33. Now the Allah of peace be with you all. Amen.
Amen, meaning so be it. So he's saying that I'm closing out this section of my letter. And now after that, he begins a new section in chapter 16. All right. So this ties in with the reading from the Torah portion, because the Torah portion was about getting resources together for the building that was put together, and then putting those resources to use and making all the materials for the building the tabernacle in the wilderness. All right. So we got physical being gathered together, physical stuff being gathered together for a spiritual sacrifice, being, the blood of the animals, the fat being sacrificed for our sins in the spirit world. That's what we read about today. All those instruments in the temple area, the laver, all right, the big basin to wash for the priest to wash his feet and hands. We got the altar, and we know all of this stuff took money. The wood took money. You got to get all that wood. All right. So people would bring the wood as gifts to the Levites. So we have a whole system where people are bringing money and material to build this tabernacle. All right. So now when we go, 900 years forward to the time of Paul, now we see that Jerusalem's in despair and Israelites are still living there. So now Paul is saying now, he tells us later that your body is the temple. And he talks about the saints at Jerusalem. Now the people at Jerusalem need you to contribute like they contributed to have the tabernacle and to have the temple. And he makes this contrast between the physical and the spiritual. They've blessed you with the spiritual gifts that you've been able to receive. And those spiritual gifts are supposed to translate into progress in the physical world. So he's saying now your progress and the physical things that you have need to serve the spiritual and the physical needs of the saints at Jerusalem. right? Because they need money to buy certain, animals at the time, doves, goats, sheep. They need money to get the wood to chop down, the axes to bring to the temple, and just for bare necessities like food. So he's calling on the Gentiles to make physical contributions to help the saints that are in trouble, to help the Israelites that are in having a lot of financial problems. Because remember, this was like on the decline when Jerusalem was on the decline. This is before 70 AD. So Jerusalem is going to get destroyed, right? A few years into the future. And Paul says, he talks in Corinthians about, for this present trouble, which is way more than we experiencing now. He said it's better for you not even to let your, I wouldn't get married, but if you ain't married or if you are married, just focus on that condition. I wouldn't give my daughter away in marriage, but if you give her away in marriage, you're not doing nothing wrong, is what Paul is saying. Because of the problems that we were experiencing as believers at that point. So it's under that backdrop that Paul is saying, I'm collecting money, the saints are going to receive it, and I'm going to go to Jerusalem to hand it to them. All right, I'm going to go to Jerusalem to hand it to them, and this is where we see a manifestation of I will bless them that bless you. All right, I will bless them that bless, talking to the whole nation of Israel, talking to Abraham's seed, Abraham, and from Abraham to Isaac, and from Isaac to Jacob. So anybody that blesses us is going to be blessed by Yahweh. I will bless them that bless you. Right. So now these goyim, these Gentiles, are seeking Yahweh, and they were trying to rejoice in Him, and they wanted the saints to be delivered. They wanted the saints to be relieved. Exactly as we see in Psalms chapter 70, which is ironic that Psalms chapter 70 also says, I am poor and needy. And we see indeed that the saints at Jerusalem at this time were poor and needy. That's why Mashiach said it's better you be more blessed to give than to receive. Why? Because if you give, you can expect to receive back what you gave in some shape, form, or fashion. But if you just like receiving it, you may receive something additional, but it's not. You're not really putting anything out there for growth. You're putting out, good manners to receive it, things of that nature. But you're not really putting seeds out there. You're consuming the food. You're not planting the food or harvesting the food. You're on the eating side of the food. All right. And we see that. But now when you get in the position to bless the people that have been feeding you, you need to do that. All right. You need, and this was something where, and I've seen this when I was in India. When I was in India, when I was talking to the people and teaching in private and teaching in public, and I tell the story a lot. A lady came up to me because she knew what I was about. She knew I was talking and teaching. She came up to me and she got on her knees and lifted money like she was trying to give me money. And I saw like, nah, I told her, get up. Like, don't bow to me like that. But that's what they do in that culture. That's what they do in that culture. Like, I really appreciate what you're doing to me, for me, I was at the because they look at you. They looked at me, I should say. I can't talk for nobody else, talk about me. I was at the house and they came and said, here, take this. Here's a gift. It was like a little shawl. I still got the shawl. He said, here's a shawl. And they bought me like another gift. Well, here's a flower. Here's some food. And then they had me, stand up, and the people came before me and just like, hey, shalom. Like everybody came and said, hey, hi, shook my hand or whatever. It's the whole crew was in the house gathered around. So you can imagine in Jerusalem when this man is giving you the keys to eternal life. I'm just telling you what he said and telling you what's in the book and telling you about your history. But imagine Hamashiach. This is why people came, was falling at his feet and following him around for 3 years. People were following him everywhere he went. They were following him. They didn't let him escape. This is, and what I experienced is nothing compared to what Hamashiach experienced, right? So when we leave America and when we go out east, we see a lot more appreciation for spiritual things. It's not the same as when you're in America. In America, it's like, oh yeah, Bible teacher, well, up yours, whatever. You get mad, forget this dude, whatever. But in that part of the world, is much more of a sense of loyalty and appreciation for the things that people are doing. Right? You go into a mosque, there's an imam there. Hey, you guys are this, you guys are that. That's what you need to do. They're gonna comply. Even in so-called Christianity, and they inherited that from the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire was a social system set up that governed the people under the church. So the Protestant church inherited a lot of those practices of, hey, he said do this, he said, like undying loyalty to the religious figure. Oh, how we'll do this from the pastor. They didn't necessarily do nothing to earn that spot, but they inherited it from the mindset that we were given through the Catholic Church and through the Protestant Church up until today. So when you over there, there's an appreciation. So Paul was able to talk to the people, and they were able to say, "Hey, man, like we like what you're talking about." And these are Gentiles now, the scriptures say. And they said, "Well, man, he said, well, you know what? How you can show your support, make a donation." And they donated to the cause, to the poor and needy that were in Jerusalem. Why? Because the Gentiles weren't going through the same struggle as we are now. Now, so these were two groups of believers. Some of them had a lot of money, and some of them had hardly no money. But you don't see that in even the Gentile churches now, or even inside Judaism. These Gentiles are greedy with their money. You don't see the white Jews that got money trying to help the black Jews in Africa or the Arab Jews in Yemen. They say, you want help, you come to Jerusalem, we'll help you. You come to Israel. But they're not helping, the Igbo, they're Jews, or the Beta Israel Jew, or we'll bring you here. We're going to incorporate you into the workforce. And then when they get there, they don't get no whole bunch of help. Same thing with the so-called Christians. They don't give the white Christian that got all the money. They don't give money to the black Christian that got no money. I'm not talking about like drug dealers. I'm not talking about crooks or criminals. I'm talking about people that are quote unquote God-fearing people, part of the Christian church system. You still on your own. But we know that people are poor and needy. So now here you got people that are going to church, and majority of the people that get some kind of benefits do have an income coming in. So now is a white church and a black church going to be able to help their congregants, the people in their congregation that aren't going to get food stamp benefits for this month? No, they're not. Most times out of 10, they're not. But a lot of them can, though. But not on a race basis, but on hey, I'm poor and needy. They open up pantries and stuff. But other than the crisis, I will give you some food. Well, how about helping us build some residual income? How about helping us to bring some wealth? How about helping us collectively get our church to where your church is? They don't do that for each other. So even what we see inside the Bible that the so-called Christian black and white read, they still don't have that same spirit that we see Paul having. They're not looking out for the people. They're not looking out for their fellow constituent of Christianity. Same in Judaism. It's like you're on your own. Now, if you become part of our club, we may help you then. And I would say this, The so-called Jews are far less stingy than so-called Christians. Because so-called Jew, you go to them, go to the synagogue, they'll give you a loan. They'll make sure you get some insight into this market fund, or that you can, get these books over here, or you can become a part of this educational system. All right, but so-called Christians, they offer you mainly talking. They don't control as much industry as the so-called Jews do, because they just got in that position. As opposed to the so-called Jews, they've been in position for hundreds of years, centuries, and they inherited a lot of that stuff that they're doing from us, a lot of trade routes. So getting back to Paul, he's going this long journey. He's going from Greece, Macedonia, and Achaia, that's over in Greece. I think by the Aegean Sea area, a little west of that, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, between Turkey and Greece. So he's saying, I'm going to go back to Jerusalem, take this money over there to help the people, and then I'm going to come holler at y'all over here in Spain. All right? I'm going to come see y'all in Spain. So he's journeying, he's traveling, but the people were not stingy. Right? The people were not stingy. There's things that need to be done. And now we have to have the opposite approach. And now we have to try to help everybody get back on their feet, because I don't want to say everybody's struggling. Truth of the matter is that nobody's really struggling, but everybody's making poor financial decisions because they aren't literate on what to do and how to do. And the solution for this early on was for all of the saints to consolidate their resources and come together, because they believed in being close to the mission that they were trying to accomplish. They believed in, I need to be close to this. I need to be here, and everything had to be rearranged. Somebody may say, well, yeah, I can't do X, Y, Z. So, well, what can we do together to solve this? And that mentality has to come back upon our people. All right. Everybody's doing their own thing. And over here, only way you were over in Corinth, you were part of a community in Corinth. You went to where the closest community was. You went to the community in Smyrna, which is Izmir, Turkey now. You went to the community later on, I'm sure, that was around Istanbul, when stuff got hot at the 7 churches of Asia Minor. All right. And I was talking to a brother, a few hours ago, realizing that, we've been to these places. So the way I see things as an American is not how you see these things as an American. Because my American view is shaped around being able to look on the outside, look in from a biblical viewpoint. From the biblical viewpoint, all right? From a biblical viewpoint, and then filtering everything that America does, and then seeing how people do things in the East. The way you see stuff is not how I see it. The way you perceive people's actions and behaviors is not how I see it. In all of my travels throughout the world, I've never seen a Gentile woman disrespect a Gentile man in private or public, ever. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? To really expect the woman to be like, I don't know who you think you're talking to like that, and not hear it? Or to expect a woman to be like, okay, and not hear it. Because I'm waiting for the fallback. To see, I was around 2 women that the man had just recently died, and he left this woman, and then he went to have a baby with another. This is in India. Went to have a baby with another woman. Went and had a baby with another woman. Didn't divorce her, just left her. Now here this woman is with her baby, and the other woman is there, and they just, oh, hey, oh, you need this, helping each other. Like they like cool. Like some weird stuff, like weird non-American, behavior. Or when I lived in Turkey, the wife of the president of Turkey got on the phone and saying, yo, like you men, you need to step up and to be more manly and get yourself more than one wife. This is the first lady of Turkey saying this. You need to get another wife. We need to build up our population. We need to boost up our economy. Or when me and Mayana Shabai over here and Ariashaan over here, we left from our area we lived at, and we took the combi, or did we drive over to the village? We drove over to the village and got out. And people were like, oh, people want some chai? You ask me, do I want some chai? I'm like, no, let me get a soda for the kids. It's healthier soda because they call it a gas, so it's made has good carbon in it. So and they bought the children. He bought the children some soda. Walked down the street. Hey, you want some chai? And this is in Turkey. Just the hospitality was just like overwhelming. Or when we were in Palestine, which Jericho is now Palestinian territory. Jericho is now Palestinian territory. It doesn't belong to the white man who call himself a Jew. It belongs to the brown people that are Jews and the brown people that are Arabs that share the Palestinian territory. So we went to these areas that you read about in the Bible. Bethany, Bethlehem, Jericho, and other places. All of these areas are under controlled by Palestinians. And some of the Palestinians are Israelites, and I'm reading to you about these things, and I'm giving you DNA about these things. But when I'm sitting, talking, looking at the people face to face, this is in Turkey and in Palestine. They telling me, oh, your grandfather, my grandfather looked just like you. My grandfather looked like you. My grandfather was a slave. My grandfather was like you. And then they started to marry other people and started to look different. So when I'm over there, in Turkey, they were just hospitable. Even when we were in Palestine, the brother that was a political prisoner for like 20, 30 years over there. All right. Very famous brother, and invited us into his house in Jerusalem, in what they call the African Quarter, which is where the black people in Jerusalem that have been there for hundreds of years, where they live at. The ones that were brought there, a lot of them were brought there by the Ottoman Turks, as slaves. And these Palestinians, hey, my father looked just like you. Or hearing just AK-47 or rifle gunfire, just da, 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 da. And we like, yo, we like, yo, what's going on? And everybody else like, let me get 5 on pump number 7, like business as usual. So being in that environment in the Eastern Hemisphere showed me 2 things. Number one, it may be safe, but I didn't see nobody talking slick. You're not going to be talking slick because you don't know who's going to do what to you, male or female. All right. People beat up family members for marrying people that they are not supposed to marry. But the level of respect that everybody has for everybody is ginormous. There's like hardly no disrespect in the streets. Why? Because these people are killers. They've been fighting with the British. They've been fighting with the Israelis. They've been fighting with each other. They've been fighting with the Greeks. They've been fighting with everybody. But everybody still got a cordial spirit. So it's a totally different mindset than we have over here in the West Hemisphere. The stuff that people do in Mexico, they would not get away with over there. And it just shows you the wickedness of our people is everywhere, even down here in Mexico. People down here, a lot of people are liars and thieves and wicked to each other. I mean, hell, every single house on this block has bars on the window. Every single house. I didn't see bars on the windows at every single house in Belize. Burglar bars, they call them. Even in Tijuana, the second floor windows, bars. Well, you need a ladder to get up there. Oh, they got bars on that too. They don't trust each other. So the point is that the way that Paul and them, their global worldview of what they expect, how to treat each other, the level of respect and courtesy, and the fraternity of what it meant to be in Hamashiach is different than is America. Now, I would say in Mexico is different. We went to teach us some people house. They're like, oh, you can't, it's too late. You can't go, stay here. It was like 4 of us. And they said, oh, and they made us stay where they were. They wouldn't let us leave that night. All right. Of course, everybody, I'm like, okay, bro, I'm going to sleep. Okay, what we're going to use if we need to get down. Or you stay awake. Okay, then you wake me up when you get sleepy and I wake up. And then when I get sleepy, I'm going to wake you up, okay? All right, cool, bet. But they invite you into the house. So I'm not talking about places I've visited. I'm talking about places where I've packed up my family and relocated, where I've given up everything I have in America, not expecting to ever come back again, but feeling forced back by the will of Yahweh. So Paul said, and he did the same thing. Hamashiach did the same thing. Paul said, I'm giving up everything. I'm going to travel. I got to go to Achaia. I got to go to Macedonia. I got to go to Jerusalem. I got to go to Spain. Hamashiach, the same thing. We got to go to Bethany. We got to go to Capernaum. We got to go to Galilee. We got to go to Bethlehem. Everybody's traveling around. And what we've done, what they did in Israel in the Bible, they built their desire to be around each other as the center of their brotherhood and sisterhood. So even though they had lives, they said, well, you know what? We need to focus and send. This is what they did. They didn't take Zephaniah 2:1 as a metaphor. They took Zephaniah 2:1 as a call. They took, we're going to gather ourselves together now. Why? Because they understood the fact that, okay, here's Israelites. We got roughly 13 regions. Because remember, all right, Manasseh had 2 portions. So you got 12 tribes, and you got Jerusalem, and you got, well, you know what? Let's just keep it, let's say 12. I was going to try to use Jerusalem for Levi, but it really wasn't. But you have 12 distribution of tribes, including the Levites around the outer edges. So we say, okay, we got all this land for Jerusalem, boom. I mean, all this land for the Israelites, boom. And then they say, okay, well, we got this for the tribes, boom. This is the tribe of Judah. This is Benjamin. And then they said, well, boom, inside these cities, around the cities is the area for the Levites. Boom. So now you got that. So now the Israelite believers said, well, you know what? We need to have an even smaller segment of the population and live in Jerusalem for all of the believers to come here now. And that's what they did. They gathered all of the believers in Jerusalem. So now you got this smaller pocket. And now when you read about Paul talking about Cenchrea, now the people say, well, this sister lives here. Well, let's all move over by her house. So it wasn't nothing, weird for Israelites to move into the same general vicinity. And this is in a time of Paul, in a time of crisis. But notice that if they were moving in the same vicinity and then started to feel the pressure of the oppression, imagine how it would have felt if they were all just alone doing their own thing. All right. In other words, if we lost the fight, after 2 years, imagine how much quicker we would have lost the fight if it was just one person fighting. But they hadn't lost, they just were needy. They just needed food, they needed resource, they needed money, because the Romans were cracking down and the other Israelites really started to discriminate against those that believed in Hamashiach. So your mentality, your mindset has to shift. You have to stop thinking, and when it comes to the Bible and what it says, you got to stop thinking like an American. You're committed to a lot of times you are committed to your captivity. You're more committed to the bonds and the covenants that you've made in the Gentile society than you are with the bonds and the covenant that you're supposed to have with me, with your sisters, with these other believers. You're more committed to yourself and the decisions that you have made beforehand. And if you want to get to a spiritual level, you want to get to a spiritual level, but you don't want to let nothing go. You think that, it's supposed to be life as usual, but every place in the Bible, you see people making these sacrifices, but you think that I'm going to just do good, and you're not even doing that. I'm going to obey the Torah, and you're not even doing that. You can't do it on your own, especially if you're a woman. Even the women in the Bible, the next verse talks about Phoebe. I commend you to Phoebe, our sister, which is a servant of the church, which is in Cenchrea. So he said, man, Phoebe gonna take care of the people. Cenchrea, and greet Priscilla and Aquila, my helpers in Hamashiach, Yahweh. You see? So you got all these people that Paul is writing to and concerned about, and you got females there, but the females weren't just isolated by themselves. The men weren't isolated by themselves. Everybody came together. That's why very rarely do you see him writing to just an individual. He's writing to an assembly of believers. But now we looking at this, we need to take notice and understand the connection that it has with the Torah reading. It wouldn't have been possible if we didn't pool our resources together for one purpose, one goal, one aim, which was to get this tabernacle strong. Now, if the scripture says that you are the temple and that the Holy Spirit dwells in you and your body is the temple now, should we not now be pooling our resources now in order to make all of our temples stronger? This is what we see in Acts chapter 2, as well as in Acts chapter 4. They came together. But we're not trying to do that because we don't believe. One, we don't think we have to, because we think that we're okay doing what we're doing where we're doing it at. And we enjoy we feel comfort and safety in what we're doing. And I know what you're going through and what you're thinking and what you're feeling, because I've been exactly in your shoes. Exactly. I've been exactly, me and my family and our experiences mirror you and your family and y'all experiences too. All right. Even when it comes down to, well, you know what? We got this medical condition. Can we go here? Can we go from point A to point B? Should we? And with this severe this life-threatening spontaneously life-threatening medical condition that Shara had when we was traveling between Israel and Turkey. I mean, Turkey between Yeah, between Istanbul to Izmir, right? We took a plane from Istanbul to Izmir, and we said, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and take the risk. And we took the risk. And what was a week and a half later, things got bad, but not as bad as it probably could have been. All right, if she would have had to go through all that, solo or just like on the road, on a bus or something. So we flew. It was a risk that we took. So we've been faced with these situations, being dragged, hauled for questioning into the different police stations around the world. So the point is that when you read this, we should be able to relate to what they're saying. And we should be able to put what they're saying into a mind frame of how it can apply to us. And that's what we need to do in order to get a better understanding. Because if you just read it like, oh, well, I'm an American and this is what it says, and this is what I'm gonna do, this is my plan, and yeah, I catch up with y'all later, then that's not the mindset that our people had in the scriptures back in the day. Masha, your hand went up a couple of times.
I just wanted to ask you, because I'm listening to what you're saying about your journey to Palestine, I believe. And what was the other place you said?
Palestine, Israel, Turkey, yeah, India, Sri Lanka.
So my first question is, you said you met the first lady in Turkey?
No. I said that the first lady in Turkey was coming on TV making announcements in her speeches saying, you men need to get more than one wife, get another wife. That's what I said about. I didn't meet her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't meet her.
Another thing is too, seeing the way that people were coming up to you and giving you and your sons gifts and money and things of that nature.
And we rejected when they try to give us money. When they try to give me money, I rejected it. I didn't take it.
Do you remember when there was a Palestinian protest in Chicago and they were like clashing with the Israelites?
Yeah.
So in that situation, I mean, well, because the Israelites, they were, saying things about their, so-called God or whatever, talking about their ways, whatever, and then they fired back with, throwing stuff at them, spitting at them, water. What would you have done in that situation? You know what I'm saying? What do you think it could have been because of do you think another reason why Palestinians fought back was because of, just being in America on a spiritual level, the kind of wickedness and freedom you have here? Like,
what exactly was the situation though? Like who did what to whom? And
well, the Israelites were on the side teaching. They were saying things against the Ishmaelites.
So did the Israelites come out there for that purpose, or were they already there, or what?
No, they were already there.
Okay.
That's the spot.
And then they started saying stuff to the Palestinians, or vice versa?
Vice versa. Like they were going back and forth. But of course, the Israelites were already teaching, so they're saying stuff. You know what I'm saying? People are all on the sidewalk.
I mean, we as Israelites, man, we have a tendency to be very antagonistic toward people. If we focus on our people and what we're out there to do, which is to bring knowledge of repentance and salvation and identity to the 12 tribes of Israel, we don't got nothing to do with whatever the Palestinians are talking about or protesting about or nothing. That's my take on it. When I was in Palestine, they don't like white Jewish people, but they don't really have a problem with the black people because it's black Christians, Jews, and Muslims living in Palestine. When you go outside of Palestine, and you go into like other Arab countries, well, not even Arab countries, like when you go into Turkey, now you'll get some slack from maybe like some of the Kurdish people that are kind of in line with with Muslim ideology. But in Palestine, you're not really gonna get nobody tripping on you because you're an Israelite or because you're trying to keep the Torah or nothing like that. So, and also people act differently in America than they act in their own country. The way you see people acting in the Indians acting at hotels and stuff in America, I never experienced that in that home country. Because in that home country, people know that you can get it. People get killed for disrespect in those countries. So everybody is super respectful. People get killed for being disrespectful. You get killed for being out of pocket in them countries, you know. And I've seen feuds unfold, and I've seen my people in India get hostile and aggressive on my behalf when they felt like Elamite was trying to cheat me. So they stepped up to the place and now you ain't gonna do my brother. And they was arguing in their language, Kannada. I could understand what they were saying, but nah, like I think that in that situation, I would have just kept talking to my people. But a lot of times Israelites, when Israelites attack the power structure, you know, they attack the power. I mean, not Israelites, but Hamashiach talked against the power structure. He didn't talk against the little guys that was out there in the streets. He called them like sheep. You know, you're like the little children. But when it came to the Pharisees and the scribes, the leaders, now he was dogging them out. But he made that distinction. You know, he made, and and look, and you got these black people. I'm gonna say this as a sidebar. These black people keep poking fun at each other, keep disrespecting each other. You got this Israelite group going to this church, and this church saying stuff against this Israelite group, and then this carnal Israelite making mockery of Israelites that wear garments and stuff, and then the black Christian church joining with the hedonistic Israelite in mocking the other Israelites or making fun of them, you know. So, but the Israelites ain't going to, you know, let's say the abortion clinics. They wasn't going to the abortion clinics. They wasn't going to the mosque and stuff like that, you know. And that's what we did. Like me and Zaquan Nathaniela, we actually went to the Muslims in their territory and talked to them face to face. Diplomatically, like, yo, y'all following the wrong path, y'all doing the wrong thing. Same thing with Rastafarians. We went to the mosques, we went to the Nation of Islam, we went to the Sunni Muslim leaders and talked to them, you know, face to face, and their constituents. We went to the mosques and sat down and talked with these people, say, yo, y'all following the wrong way. And there's a safety when I got this number of people with me and the police are outside and they're going to intervene if something jump off. And that's why everybody's running their mouth, being disrespectful, because they don't have the experience of talking to these people one-on-one, of talking to these people like in their area and being when you come to these people. I mean, I remember the videos of the news teams coming to talk to Yeshaya, you know, at the school, you know, back in the day. You know, so there was a sense of hospitality. I don't want to say diplomacy, but definitely hospitality, you know. So when you got that safety of that cover, like you got that cover and you're antagonizing these people because the police are there. If the police wasn't there and you got, you know, if the police wasn't there and you got 200 Palestinians and it's you and, you know, 5 brothers 20 brothers. You don't got 500 people out there protesting, angry people at that. So I wouldn't say nothing against them and their situation and their plight. Why? Because their family, no matter how I think or you think, they feel in their mind that their family is being murdered by white people to call themselves Jews. That's how they feel. And they people are getting killed. We're not saying that y'all started it, that you started it back in, was it Passover or day of Moira blowing the trumpets when they had that big statue of Buddha out there in the desert. They had a big statue of Buddha out there and they were dancing and all of that, and just a big revelry with a Buddha statue, in the land of Israel. And that's kind of what sparked everything off. People forgot about that. And they just started attacking them, coming across the fence and attacking people. And they let the government actually, let it happen. So anyway, my answer your question again, I would have focused on my people. Even if that's my regular spot, I would have, I'd have been focused on reaching our people, man, not starting with these people over there. We got to stop being antagonistic toward other oppressed people that can identify with you. And again, because having been over there, I know families. I know families in Gaza. I know families connected to Gaza. So we got people, Israelite people whose families got murdered, got killed over there. Now, by the same token, I also know Israelite families, all right, from Ethiopia, Beta Israelites from Ethiopia in Israel that got kidnapped, that came up missing. You see what I'm saying? That came up missing. So I know, on people, Israelites on both sides. One group of Israelites saying they're Muslim families in Gaza, and the other group of Israelites saying that they're Israelites. Family is from Ethiopia, but was living in Israel at the time. So yeah, I know both. I got no people on both sides of that equation. And with that being said, I will say this. And people have to realize this too. Things will be far worse for Black people in America, Israelites in America, if they were under a Russian or an Iraqi or an Iranian regime. Because a lot of people tend to think that they identify, and Palestinians, no. The Palestinians are not going to give you the type of quote unquote religious freedom that you have in America. They aren't tolerant toward you worshiping the God of Israel and not doing Juma and doing the Sabbath. But that's only recent development as a result of what's happened with the white man from England and from Israel oppressing these people. It wasn't like that historically. You had to pay like a little tax. You could practice your religion, no problem. When you had the Waqf, the Jordanians controlled Palestine. The Turkish gave them the authority to control Palestine, Israel in general, and the Israelites, the Muslims and the Jews were living side by side with no beef. Everybody was doing their own thing. They knew they couldn't just eradicate everybody. It's when they came in and fulfilled the prophecy that they were supposed to fulfill, which was taking over the land. That's when all the drama and problems started. But no, that's not our fight per se, because you have far more thousands of people getting murdered and killed over in a place like the Congo. You have far more Israelites getting murdered and killed in the Congo and in Sudan. Muslims and Christians fighting against each other. Over there, far more casualties than going on in Palestine. So yeah.
Okay, my last question is, you were saying things and it kind of made me think about the scripture Hamashiach spoke about pretty much like not being accepted in your own country. Something to that effect. Does that go along with what you were saying earlier? Like as far as like the difference of us in America when it comes to our own people, and then going to other countries and receiving a different attitude from other nations of people.
Well, I would say yes and no. Yes, in a general sense, that's what I'm talking about. But no, because a lot of my attention was focused on believers treating each other this way. I'm talking about believers. So they understand that scripture, but their social media has made it so that everybody's comfortable being in their own lane because they get that social connection remotely. You understand what I'm saying? So as far as a person being accepted in their own city, that's more or less about how Hamashiach was in Galilee, Nazareth, and they didn't receive him. They're like, man, we know you. Ain't this your father's the carpenter, your mother's Mary? So that's more or less on a one-on-one type of situation. If you're going back to your hometown teaching. But when he went to the other towns, they received him. You know what I'm saying? But then again, so the people as a whole rejected him. That's why the scripture say he came to his own, and his own received him not. So that's the broad spectrum of us going to our people and our people not receiving us. That more applies to that situation. He came to his own received him not, which means the children of Israel reject righteousness. And then specifically what he said, the prophet is not without honor in his own home, or it's not with honor, is how it kind of the sense that it should give. But a prophet is not honored or received in his own home. It's his personal experience with going home to his hometown. He came to Nazareth where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into Jerusalem. He went to the synagogue and stood to read on the Sabbath day. So he went to his hometown. But now when he went to all these other areas, they was like, oh yeah, here he come. They couldn't wait to hear him. So it applies to a sense, but what I was focusing on is two things. I was focusing on the difference in Israelite society in America and Israelite and Gentile society outside of America. Because all these places I went to Israelites also. That was my focus, is to go into the Israelites in those places. The Israelites in Sri Lanka, I went to them. That was my point in going there, was to try to connect with them. All right. But now, so my focus was really on us as a people that believe in Hamashiach, doing what we see the people doing in the Bible, whether it's talking about the book of Exodus in the 20s and 30s about, the Most High giving a shopping list of what's needed, and then Moses giving it to us and we bring everything together, or Acts chapter 2, us coming together. In other words, the problem that you're talking about, we don't see that problem amongst believers in the Bible. But we do see that problem amongst so-called believers now. A lack of unity, a lack of order, structure, a lack of leadership, a lack of communication, and a lack of building. Everybody is out for their own decisions, their own program, their own plan for their own life. Everybody. And that's the reason everybody's not coming together or trying to come together, because everybody has more important things to do than to be worried about trying to hook up with these other people that believe. But excuse my language, when the shit hits the fan, them same people, we're gonna be like, nah, stay where you at. Stay where you at. We ain't got no room for you. Matter of fact, we ain't gonna be in contact with people because we know what prophecies to be looking for. And if you ain't with us now, and the shit hits the fan, and now you're gonna be trying to be with us, Hamashiach already warned us. He said he said that father's gonna be delivering their children, and brother's gonna be delivering a brother to death. So now we looking at you like you ain't really in this. You're in it for yourself, not for us. You're in this because of what we can do for you, because when you could do for us, you did for you. Now you can't do for you. Now you want everybody else to help you. You want everybody else to help you. So now, so there's a big divide that's going on, that's going to occur in Israel. And it's going to come a time when it's going to be, it's going to be radio silence. Because remember, the scriptures say that you're going to desire to go into the city and shall not be able. So our plan in the city is to generate resources to be able to be more sustainable in the country. My plan in the city before was to work, to have a career. I wasn't really thinking about the country. I was thinking about just the city. But then I think a few months into the truth, maybe in the summertime after I came into the truth, I'm like, because I lived in the cities. I was a problem in the cities. I was part of the problem, but I'd never been a problem in the country. So I knew that our people don't belong in the cities. Only if you're there to be a part of a support system or to give direct help to a mission. You can do the same thing in the city, in a rural area. May get less pay, but it's less headache, less problem, less drama. You know what I'm saying? So in your own area, as a teacher, which he's calling himself a prophet, but he's saying you're not going to be honored and received. You as an individual in the place that you come from, not just us, collectively. In the bar. So yeah, I mean, it's easy now. And in the Most High, and this how you got to understand the fact that the scriptures talk about having watched women in labor so many times, having seen babies born so many times. You're looking at a scripture, and it says that the Most High's judgment and the redemption of Israel is going to be like a woman in pain, and when them birth pains start, it's not going to stop. You're not going to be able to stop it. You're looking at that like, oh, this is what's going to happen, da, 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 da. But having seen my babies about to be born, and having seen their mothers, like with the Braxton Hicks, with the false labors, and in those having physically been in that vicinity and seeing with my own eyes that this isn't the birth, but we have to start preparing for the birth now. You got to get your bag together. You got to get the change of clothes together. You got to get your phone numbers together. Who's going to come and watch the children? Who you going to call if you can't get the people that you need to get a hold of? What's the special text or a special message to send so people understand what's happening, that you need help? So that's the time to prepare. So Hamashiach, the scripture is saying this, but is it saying it for you to say, for it to catch you suddenly? Or is it saying is it saying it so that when it does happen suddenly, you've already been preparing for it? You're already prepared. You have to be prepared.
and you don't prepare for the delivery of a baby at the last minute. You don't prepare for the delivery of a baby at the last minute. I've seen 11, 12, I've seen 13 babies be born. And I've cut 13 umbilical cords. Me personally have, clamped off and cut 13 umbilical cords. And that's, but now you got all these other peripheral things happening. You got all these peripheral things happening, just like right now. You got all these peripheral things happening, and you got to be prepared for it. Like when your wife gave birth to your baby, instinctively she's like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And even if it's her first time, she's still instinctively like, yeah, she's thinking about, okay, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that. And yeah, her mother's like, yeah, you're gonna need this, you need that. But her own instinct is kicking in, like it's an instinct that just like kicks in. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be prepared. So Hamashiach is in the scriptures telling us that, man, you can't, you can't, them labor pains ain't gonna let up. So the point I'm making with that is this, Masha. What we see happening now, everything that happened during COVID is a reflection of something in the scriptures that talk about that type of event. You wasn't able to go into the cities. There was a lack of food. Enforcement was out there, and there was sickness running rampant. It was like little plagues, and not even little plague, it was a big plague. Everybody was paranoid about that. A lot of people died, but I come from I got a lot of nurses in my family, LPNs, RNs, nursing directors of facilities in New York, in New York State, and in New York City. You know what I'm saying? And so I forgot what was I saying to Maria? Before that. Because what happens is I'm talking, but as I'm talking to you, my brain is thinking about something else that I want to put in at the end. It's almost like you're making a sandwich and you say, okay, I gotta go get the cheese. And you're thinking that I go get, well, which cheese am I gonna get? So you think about all this stuff, but then you're still making that sandwich. I think the point that I was making was that the nurses in my family, they knew, they immediately said, this is all you need to do is to treat this as, and this is my one aunt is like a master nurse. She said, you just need to treat it like and it's, of course, she did her own modifications, but she had COVID. She didn't go to the hospital. She treated herself at home, and she treated she treated along the lines of a respiratory infection. She treated along the lines of not fully, but that was the standard that she was shooting for. And of course, a lot of praying and stuff. So she was able to get rid of COVID. And she was telling other people, like, this how you need to do, and that the regimen that she was giving people was working. So the point I'm making is that, yeah, it was a major, a lot of people, passed away. I got family members and in-laws that like passed away as a result of that, cousins and COVID. So it was a deadly thing that happened. But those of us that was like, but we were very segregated, in Turkey. We were at home, we went outside, went to the market. That was it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have a lot of social engagement with the people outside of what was necessary. But the point I'm making is that, Masha, is that the things that are happening now and the things that happened during COVID, I see these things very prophetically, and I see it as part of Yahweh's mercy, because he's showing you what you need to do, and he's showing you how society is gonna react. Now black people are like, well, let's boycott them and da 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 da. Y'all should have been did that. Let's boycott them and let's not buy their stuff. And y'all should have been. I'm not saying don't do it, but now don't wait until now to do it. Now people like don't got no food that they need. They got to go to, and thankfully, you got Catholic and Christian churches that have food banks, good food. You know, you got Sprouts food. You got what's the other one? Sprouts food and all these expensive, you know, Whole Foods. Yeah, they Whole Foods and Sprouts and stuff. They take their food to the shelter. Shoot, ain't no shame in the game. If that's what you want high quality food and you don't want to pay for it, you find your shelter and go to one of the ones in the suburbs gonna have the best stuff the longest. Because white people are like, oh, you get this and get that. Black people are like, oh, girl, God, they got this. I'm gonna get all of this. They try and get all. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes, so I'm not like I'm not like generalizing. This is what I've seen growing up. But nonetheless, my point is that these things that are happening, we got to take these things as warnings of the Most High's judgments. This is the Most High's judgments coming to us like a woman in travail. So what happened during the time of Hamashiach? Well, we don't got no food. They chasing us out the city. He had to hide through the crowd. All those things came down like a ton of bricks when the children of Israel were invaded by the Romans. And he said, you know, you got to go to the mountains. You got to get out of Jerusalem. And that's what the people did, man. You know, but we have to be together, man. And it sounds good. And some people may think it's like it's difficult, but you know, it's really not. Everything we're doing, we could do together. And this is what the early church, the early assembly of believers, what they understood, man. They understood this, but we don't understand it. You know, we don't understand it. You know, and that's why it's good to have relationships with different Israelites and in different areas, different parts of the world, different parts of the states. And you see this lesson from the tabernacle also. The same person that built the altar is not the same person that built the ark, you know? So we got two aspects of this whole woman in travail concept. The first aspect is she's sad, hurts, and then the baby is born. And the other aspect is the travail that's going to be upon our people, that's going to cause us pain, and it's going to come upon the earth, and it's going to be hard for us to escape. It's going to be hard for us to get away from it. All right. The scripture says, for when they shall say, 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a mountain. As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Okay. So the scriptures say that people want to escape that destruction, sudden destruction. Okay. Hamashiach talks about the woman in travail has sorrow, but as soon as she's delivered, she'll remember the anguish, the joy that a man is born into the world. So She's happy because that little baby. All right. And the scriptures tell you, listen what it says, man. Listen what it says. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. It says, for now shalt thou go forth out of the city and shall dwell in the field. You should dwell in the field. So it's saying you got to go to the rural areas. So the leadership has a plan for this to happen. So as they have this plan for this to happen, it's very regimented. And the plan is so you can use the word airtight. The plan is so airtight. And this comes from the point earlier, okay. And again, I'm telling people this, but I don't know if people are not really registering, like what I'm saying. But simultaneously, me as a one individual person was able to acquire and maintain households in Ohio and in Alabama, in Mexico, and in Mexico, and in Mexico and in America. All right. And also in Turkey and in Mexico. So people think that it's hard, but it's not. It's not hard. And this was without dealing with no type of mortgages or nothing. This is me and my family as individuals trying to make this happen. Which means that, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. You understand the fact that, and you know why you need to be here and what you need to do. Like Hamashiach, he said, well, you two go to this town, you two go to this town, you two go to this city, and blah, blah, blah. And he structured everything that way, But the scripture tells you that, if you're someplace, in other words, okay, we're a body. We're a body. Okay. We are a body. So now we a body. So my hand wants to scratch my ear. But then while my hand is scratching my ear, a glass is about to fall off the table onto the floor. So now I'm gonna decide whether I'm gonna scratch my ear or whether I'm gonna catch this glass is about to fall. The head is making a decision. And all of the other body parts, because you may need to move your back and your shoulders, and this hand may need to grab on so you can get it. So the whole body is functioning, not just the head, the whole body is functioning, working together. If my hand is like, you know what, I'm not worried about the body, I want to scratch the ear. You're going to have a bigger problem now. It may be easier for me to do this as opposed to catching that glass, but when that glass falls, now the whole body is going to have to work to get that glass off the floor so it doesn't get spread around on the floor. And so the body doesn't get hurt and other members of the body don't get hurt. But if you're only worried about your ear right now and scratching it, you're going to miss what is the benefit or the harm that what you're doing can have upon the rest of the body. And so that's why it's important. What does the body do? How does my body know that the glass is even an option? It's communicating. So you got to communicate, So the Most High keeps letting stuff happen. Trump is on a rampage now, but at the same time, you ask yourself a question. Look, and if I'm not mistaken, he did shut down. He did stop giving money to the abortion clinics, right? And he's saying, okay, well, we need to also cut back on the food stamps because y'all not giving us what we want, which is not legal, but it's not like it's a surprise. You knew this man was coming for you for how long now? And what did you do to prepare for it? He's been coming for us. What did you do to prepare for it is the question. You know he was coming. He don't necessarily like you or what you're doing, but now he's going after the very same people that helped put him in office too, though. Because proportionately we receive more benefits, but number-wise, they receive more benefits. So number-wise, they're using more of that money and that service than we are. Proportionately, I mean, you don't care proportionately. You're not looking at, well, who's using more proportionately or less proportionately. Proportionally, we're using more, but at the end of the day, they still got greater numbers and they still using more than us. But we know what this man is doing. So we can't keep having this individualistic approach to life and call ourselves part of a body and call ourselves part of a nation. I mean, like I said, Paul is breaking his neck to get people money on the other side of the Mediterranean. He's breaking his neck. You know, I've been to Turkey. I've been to Turkey to Israel on a plane. This man is going by the water. He's going by the water on a ship, stopping at different places. Much more hard journey. I mean, it was difficult going on the plane. They want to put people and question them, and you got to show this and show that and fill out this paper. You know, so he had a very, very hard journey. So it wasn't easy. So he went from Greece all the way over the length of Asia Minor, all the way back over to to Jerusalem, to Israel. Probably landed at Joppa, maybe Tel Aviv, and then came down from the north to the south, and then went to the people. So his mindset was, you know what? I got to focus on the people. This man was making money. He wasn't broke. You know, Matthew was making money. Matthew was making money. But only each person knows. People think that them not doing things that they're not supposed to do is the sacrifice. The Most High Son told us we got to pick up our cross and follow him. Picking up your cross is prepare to subject yourself to an excruciating, uncomfortable experience that's not what you normally do. That's what picking up your cross, because that's how did he feel when he had to pick up that cross? And he said, if it be your will, let this cup pass, but let your will be done, not my own. All right. So yeah, that's I think that's gonna do it for now. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll shut down. Because I'm looking at the time now, and we've been on here for almost 3 hours. A lot of the time been just commentating. Anyway, we'll be back at 3:30, Yahweh willing. Is anybody with any questions or comments before we get off? Any questions or comments? Nobody? Okay, I'm gonna be cynical now, sarcastic. Oh, so everybody got all the answers, huh? Because no questions mean you got the answers.
What I've heard,
Come.
I'll say that,
Oh.
you know, I was just meditating on the whole birth thing situation that you was mentioning,
Right.
and also mentioning the fact that about the body parts, us as a body, and we're not even, we're not working together right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're severing our body parts off. So like, as a people, you know what I'm saying? And that's, man, like, it's just crazy because, we speak about scriptures like this a lot, like about becoming a body, but, we say these things, but yet we still as a people separate each other or separate ourselves from one another. And like we said, like, there will come a time when you'll want to be a part of what we got going on and protecting ourselves, but yet, when the Most High said for us to come together, we didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, that goes into the numbers. Like, we're pushing. Like, some camps are like so focused on numbers, but the majority of those people are going to be betraying each other. Another thing is too. I just wanted to say this, but during COVID, when COVID had happened, I was at the March Yashrala when they had it in Atlanta, and Elder Nathaniel was there, and I remember him being part of the Torah area of the government, and I remember him on stage chanting like, "Do not take that vaccine." I remember he kept telling everybody, he was like, "Do not take that vaccine. Do not take that vaccine." You know what I'm saying? But I think that was a memorable moment. And you said you were in Turkey during COVID?
Yeah, when it first jumped, when it started, I was in Turkey, and when it got really intense, we were in Turkey, and then we came over here came to Mexico during it, yeah. So I was between Turkey and Mexico. But yeah.
I remember I was in California. I was in California at the time. I was working in the mountains, and then like that's when this is around the time I first came into Chief. This is when COVID first started popping off, and we couldn't go down the mountain to see our family, and we went down and couldn't come back up. Because I lived where I worked, and the majority of the people there did live where they worked, and so I ended up, everybody was starting to leave, but I ended up having a dream to leave, and I left, and that's when I ended up in Georgia. And then that's like a little further on, like maybe like a couple months later, the Mashra Yashrala happened, and that's when the elder had said that. But regardless, I think it's really, really crucial that like you said, that we prepare for those birth pains to come. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how Noah kept warning the people, and it wasn't until the flood came. Not everybody wanna, let us in, whatever the case may be. Mama. And I just think that's a good point to harp on. So that's what I wanted to do. So shalom.
Shalom. So yeah, the preparation comes. I mean, even the scriptures tell you It says, nourish thy children, O thou good nurse, establish their feet. All right, so you got to establish the children's feet. The nurse and the children are together. As for the servants whom I have given you, there shall not one of them perish, for I will require them from among thy number. So he's saying that these servants that are given to the people are the ones that are going to be in a position of safety spiritually and most likely physically also, but they're going to have a certain degree of protection around them. The heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, saith Yahweh. Again, those that are getting nourished by the nurse. All right. My hands shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell. So all the people are going to be coming together. All right. And they're going to be protected. All right. They're going to be protected from whatever's happening. When you go to verse 22, it says, protect the young and the old within your walls. So again, a central place or central places with teachers, with servants, with nurses, with people, with old and young people. And the people that are serving them, that aren't going to perish. How are they going to perish if they're inside the wall? We're safe out because they're going to be the ones going outside the wall. That means there has to be coordination with leadership on what's happening within your national embassy structure, because instead of calling it a camp, it's more like an embassy. And we're in hostile territory. But this embassy represents Yasharallah or Israel in this particular state, in this particular area, there for a specific purpose. So your mission there is you are supporting the mission that's there. You're supporting the mission that's there if you're part of the body. You know, Romans chapter 12 and 1 Corinthians chapter 12. So it says you got to be inside the walls, and it says, abide still, O my people, and take thy rest, for thy quietness shall come. Abide still, keep still. Again, being central, being still. Take your rest, meaning now you can alleviate the stress and the pressure of doing things on your own and by yourself. Why? Because now you're being connected to the body. This is exactly what we see happening in the book of Acts chapter 6, when the Grecian widows were being overlooked because they didn't speak the language. And somebody had to go in and try to help them. So people from different backgrounds were coming together at Jerusalem. When we look in Acts chapter 2, because the people that came there during Pentecost, a lot of them people stayed there. So we see that when you read Second Ezra chapter 2, it kind of shows you what's going to be happening, you know, and it tells you what to do. You got to keep the old and the young inside of your walls. You have to nourish the children like a good nurse, and strengthen the children's feet, meaning show them how to be independent, how to be self-sufficient. All right. The servants are not going to perish. They're going to be required from among the people to continue and to increase their service to the people. It says, don't be anxious when the time of tribulation comes. You know, others going to weep and be sorrowful, but you're going to rejoice and have abundance. How you going to have abundance? You got to build the abundance that you want to have. How you going to have abundance of food? How did they have abundance in the Bible in Acts chapter 2? How did they have an abundance when it came time to build the tabernacle and the temple? Well, the tabernacle. Everybody pulled their resources together. And that's what we got to do too. We got the example. We got Yahweh telling us this is what's going to happen in the future. And then we have the Bible saying, well, this is what we did when we were faced with doing what you're going to have to do in the future. We brought everything together. We centralized. We focused. Okay, everybody that could do something, the women, the men, they brought that skill to the table. You see, so yeah. So the moves, the thing that we saying are very biblical, but we can't, we can't chase the money. You got to just be prepared because we don't know when what's going to happen is going to happen. We have to know, we have to just, we have to be prepared, physically be prepared and spiritually be prepared. If you're not spiritually prepared, that physical ain't going to happen. Why? Because all the waters of those that don't believe, people forget this. You can't stockpile water because the Bible says that all of the plagues of Egypt are going to come upon the earth again, specifically in America. So you on the outside looking in, doing your own thing under your own authority as an individual. When the Most High said, look, when Moses came back for the message that Yahweh had for the people, everybody didn't do their own individual thing. Yahweh specifically said, go back and gather the elders of the people. Before the plagues happened, he talked to the elders of the people. After the plagues happened, he talked to the elders of the people. Then he taught everybody the law, and then he divided the law into leadership. Where do you fit into that equation? If you say we're coming out of Egypt and the nation was divided into companies with leadership of the elders, understanding the social and the governmental structure, and after Egypt, they were taught the legal parameters of what Yahweh wanted them to do. If this is what we see, where does me doing my own thing according to what I want to do fit into the equation? It doesn't. Like I tell everybody, man, I got access. Me personally right now could take all of my family to 88 acres in Alabama and not have to worry about nobody else on the planet Earth again. My uncle was raising goats down there. My cousin they had a brick construction company making bricks. My uncles and my aunts built the house, repaired the house that we have right now on our land. And there's empty houses right there. But if it was about me, so while you worried about yourself, I'm trying to make decisions and concessions and preparations for you. You see? But the question is, should I? Because my grandfather made preparations for me and my family. He didn't make preparations for nobody else. So now I got to make preparations for my family and the rest of the nation too. For our land. Now you could just jump in and say, I'm gonna get this land over here, or you can say, you know what? I've done this so many times. We need a more sustainable model to be in place where we don't have to be as involved as we are now on our day-to-day labor. So if somebody's saying, what is it, 7? If somebody's saying, hey, look, man, here's a way for you to make $96,000, $120,000 a year. That's enough for me to worry about passively. I can worry about, and I could be in another place. I don't got to be in that place making that money. That's like simple math. Well, if I owe this person this, and it's going to cost me this to do this, and I want to buy this over here to do X, Y, Z, and I got these assets over here. That's what needs to be the long haul. That's what needs to be the long haul. So the scripture's talking about the nurse nourishing the children. So sometimes sacrifices got to be made for this to be done. But some of y'all, some of y'all are listening to me, and some of y'all is falling on deaf ears. You're gonna let your own imagination, you're gonna let your family, you're gonna let your husband or your wife lead you in a direction away from the examples we see in the Bible. And then when the crap hits the fan, Don't come looking for us then, man. That's not even no threat. That's like real talk. Imagine there's like imagine there's, you see what Hamashiach said being fulfilled. And you see somebody that didn't do what he said. And notice what the scripture talk about, the turmoil and stuff. And again, we see that the elders' position of leadership that understood the Torah was paramount in Israel. And it's paramount in those that believe in Hamashiach also, because the first century believers were keeping the Torah also, man. Rapayala, go ahead.
Khan, it was just to add on to what you was just saying, and Mashal was saying. Post-COVID, during COVID, people were freaking out. We can all agree to that. They were freaking out, and they were flooding your inbox, yours specifically. And then you had to come out and make a PSA saying, no, everyone, this isn't the end of the world. This isn't the beginning of Jacob's trouble. I still remember that. And then COVID boiled over. And then everybody kind of just went back to what they were doing. Right. I was like, now that people see that Yahweh isn't showing up and Yahweh Shai isn't here, they putting their Bibles down and they going back to the same BS that they was on. Like, immediately. It was right immediately after. It was that fake humility that people put on. Once they saw that everything was cool, they went right back to what it was that they was doing. And it's really obvious to see that something else is going to come. And so now we have the chance to actually gather together. We have the chance to do these things. And for the people that are on this line, I'm going to tell you straight. This is what you prayed for. You prayed to find somebody, to find an elder or find a community that would take you to the next step. Whether you choose to not be involved, that's solely up to you. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't pushing an ultimatum on you. The ultimatum is really between you and yourself. What it is that you're going to do, what it is that Shaquan is asking, or whether you choose to be like, oh, well, you know what, I got this over here, and so on and so forth. And then, again, when everything does hit the fan, it's just going to be like, you know what I'm saying? Because personally, I know what that feels like to a certain degree, and that's why I'm moving so quickly. I told Laquan this things from last night, but that's why I'm moving so quickly for the move to Ohio, and I'm trying to help people in that regard as much as I can, because I'm not supposed to be in California right now. I'm supposed to be in Nashville, Tennessee. And because of my disobedience, getting the transplant, remaining in California, dragging my rib all the way over here, she side-eyes me. For a while, she was kind of resentful and bitter towards me because I revealed that to her. And she got over it eventually, but I'm supposed to be dead because I didn't listen. I'd probably be in a much better state of health. I would probably have more than what I have now. So people died. That's another thing. People on the other side of my family ended up dead, and I didn't even end up getting to see them, possibly even being able to witness to them because of my stubbornness. So that's why I take that so hard. And so now that I'm being called out, it's like we gotta bust the break, because when Yahweh says to move, it's time to move. Where Zaquan is not like, let's go over here. Let's go over here, and we're gonna hey, yo, get your woman to take pictures of her feet and sell them on the internet real quick. You know what I'm saying? Bring some money up for the Maserati Yasala. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's not really prostitution. You feel what I'm saying? No, it's nothing even like that. We're literally coming together, and I say this a lot. I try to reiterate it as much as possible, and I know it's very redundant, but we're literally coming together as a nation, not a community, because Zaquan had to reiterate that to me, so now I have to reiterate to all of you. Not as a community, but a nation that is not desired to serve Yahweh in Torah, in Hamashiach, as a body, like the first century synagogue / church, Yahudim, early believers. That's the goal. That's the strive point. And maybe it's not for you. Maybe you prayed for it, you know, that Yahweh gave you a safe place to go and handle that. And now that you're being met with that, you're getting cold feet. And maybe it won't be for you. You know, I had to accept the fact that Zaquan told me, he said, hey, don't stress yourself over people not showing up, because I asked him, I was like, hey, what if nobody shows up? Like, I'm scared that nobody's going to show up. And he's like, all right, you'll be there. You'll have a quadruplex and you'll have money in your pocket and you'll still be serving Yahweh. And you'll still be doing what it is that you need to do according to Torah. And I thought about that because everything that happened aligned with my specific situation. Like, for instance, I showed a little bit of my faith, and Yahweh's already showing me a promising FA. That guy's super solid, like a facility administrator for my dialysis. I'm already in good hands. So that prompted me to move further forward even more. So I just wanted to put my little 2 cents, but also my little a little piece of the testimony out there that what's happening right now, you know, it's coming. It's coming. So we need to be prepared spiritually as well as physically. The money's going to come. But yeah, you know, don't be on that shopping block where it's just like, all right, we got 5, maybe 6 more years, 7 more years, and then you go and you do something entirely outlandish against the counsel that's being given. Everybody has their fears. I'm giving up a lot here. Karash is giving up a lot. You know, not to put his business out there. He's involved in certain things that gives him a favorable position. I'm involved in certain things that give me a favorable position. You know, I don't know who else is giving up certain things that give them a favorable position to where they're at. But things change, and Yahweh can make it work for you wherever it is that he decides to lead you. And I'm going to yield on that. I feel like I'm talking to us. Total about.
Yeah, just to respond real quick to what he said. You know, this is not like a Black Friday where there's only one chance a year or whatever, you know, but it is not a last chance type of situation, but you're part of a nation, but that don't necessarily mean you got to be where we are. Like, it's not like, you know, like it's not a requirement that you be included in what's going on, especially if you're not really committed to wisdom and Torah, because wisdom is going to be the stability. Those that walk in wisdom are going to be the ones that are going to be able to make the spiritual changes. So if you are walking in a way that's not toward wisdom, and you're not really converted in your spirit, you're not a new creature, you haven't been renewed, you haven't been transformed by the renewing of your mind, then quite honestly, you will be a liability. Because if you're not displaying the type of characteristics now that you should display spiritually, then it's going to be harder for you to do it as time goes on. But everybody regrets what they did when it's time to give, when there's a consequence for it. So there's going to be consequences. And you don't want the Most High to give you them consequences, give you consequences that are too. You don't want him giving you consequences that are going to be too hard for you to carry. So it's not about, hey, go here and do this now. It's not about that. Hey, he said go over here and do this, and he said drop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. So it ain't about that. It's about, hey, let's talk as a body, people that belong to Hamashiach, and see what all of us have that can be beneficial toward working together. And if you don't fill out that form that Hannah put together, the community readiness form, I'm going to assume that you don't want to be a part of the nation, because the nation, the calm means together. Unity means one. So community means together as one. So if you don't fill out that paperwork, I'm going to assume that you don't want to really be involved and a part of what's going on. So whatever those people that want to be involved have going on, there's going to have to be levels of clearance. Things that you may not know about, things that you shouldn't or can't know about, and things that you do know about, but it's not just going to be, oh, I know everything that they're doing and you're on the outside track now. So even I've been thinking to myself, like, hey, I need to go and fill that out. I need to go and fill that out, myself. So if you don't fill that thing out, it's like, well, yeah, I don't got nothing to bring to y'all. I'm just sitting here listening in the audience and I'm good. And that's cool. Because you want participation without commitment, and that's understandable. You want to participate on your terms, and ain't nobody mad about that. That's understandable, but it has to be clear that that's what it is. I'm here, but I'm not really rocking with y'all like that. I don't really mess with y'all like that. I'm here, but not like that. And if that's the case, then it needs to be known, so we know, not to take it not to take it offensively, but to be like, hey, this brother or this sister is here right now. They're not in a position right now where they can be a part of what we have going on now. Because you can't just come and do this. And that's why everything is so relaxed. And that's why you can't just come and be like, oh, I'm going to be a part of this and I got to do this and get my colors. There's no psychological subconscious cues to make you, feel like you're a part of it. There's no special colors. There's no special colors. There's no special chant. There's just you as an Israelite deciding that I'm going to link up with my nation and do better for myself, for my family, and for the 12 tribes. That's where you are now. So now if you're a part of that, that's all is required. But now the discipleship, did you go through the discipleship? You need to go through the scriptures. Did you go through the discipleship? You need to go through the discipleship. Did you listen to all of them classes? No, people probably didn't listen to them classes. Hamashiach said, make disciples of all nations. Chiefly the nation of Israel, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Hamashiach came. So you got to show your participation, and you got to show commitment to what's going on. Because none of us need anyone else on this call right now. None of us need anyone else. We need each other. And I mean, the minute you feel like you don't need us, and you can do what you want to do without us, and that your participation in what Hamashiach told us to do, what the prophet Yahweh said to Zephaniah we must do, the minute you feel like that aspect is voluntary, is the minute that Satan has gotten into your mind. Because we don't see that mentality in the first century. You know, Paul was basically working for the Israelite mafia. Paul was part of a hit squad. So you can understand. Because he was an enforcer. He was an enforcer. Oh, do you believe in this? You believe in this? You believe in this Messiah? He ain't the Messiah. We're gonna take you. They're gonna put you to death. You see? So, you know, so Paul and them had their system set up righteously, right? But now we as a people, we have understanding we part of a body. But Paul said, you know what, man, I'm gonna leave all that behind, risking his life, saying, I'm with y'all now, what y'all need me to do. And even then, people throwing hot oil on him. People throwing hot oil on him. People throwing hot oil on him. People trying to kill him. He got to get let outside the city wall in the basket. Going through all types of tribulations. And here we are in our comfort zone with our paycheck coming in, paying our bills, talking about woe is me. No, woe was Paul. Woe was Peter. Imagine being in such fear of your life that you deny a man that you've been walking with, that you know is the Savior. And you have to say, no, I don't know him. And then start cussing people out. You see? So this is what Peter had to go through. This is what their experiences were. So it requires you to be committed. You gotta be committed. What are you trying to say, Masha?
Man. Yeah, that really hit home. Yeah, man, Paul was teaching, I believe it's Acts 14, Paul was teaching, got stoned, you know what I'm saying? You know, he got stoned, recovered health, and then went back out to teach in that same area. You know what I'm saying? I forgot who he was with at the time, you know, but, you know, Paul went through, he tells you in Corinthians, all the things that he went through, perils, being stuck out in the sea for days at a time, starvation, you know, persecution by his own people, and things of that nature. There's a scripture that I want to get, because this is kind of like a undertone of what Rapayala was saying, and then going into what the elder was saying. I'm going to get 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 60, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused the children to be circumcised, and they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was very great wrath upon Israel. So you had, at this time you had our people who were like, well, to hell with it. I mean, literally our people are like, man, like, you know, we have so many benefits serving these, of being a part and conjoining to these other nations. Like, you know, in this time, they're like, man, you know, we have a freedom to do what we want, all types of perverseness at this time, defiling the temple, ravishing people's houses, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature, of our own people literally doing these things. In today's time, that would be equivalent to being like, oh, well, those who choose to serve Yahweh, they got to go through all this peril and tribulation and persecution. But we can, At least we would have Netflix. At least we'd be able to have freedom to go in this 3-mile radius. At least we would be able to have food when we want it and be protected and guarded by this society instead of being under the obedience to Yahweh, because there was a big separation during this time. So I'm gonna keep going. And then it goes on to say, I'm gonna go to verse 23 in chapter 2. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin, and according to the king's commandment. Which thing, when Mattathiah saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to shew his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Now, this is one of our own people about to go offer unclean food on the altar of the Most High, and Mattathiah is going to kill that man. Also, the king's, which was his brother, but he killed him out of wrath. So it says also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. So Mattathiah killed the men who were trying to compel our people to sacrifice unclean food from the altar. So verse 26, thus dealt he zealously for the law of Yahweh, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Salom. And Mattathiah cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So that's like the undertone of pretty much what has been said so far. You know what I'm saying? If you're zealous of the law, you know, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to accomplish. This community of Torah keepers, because that's what Mattathiah said. If you're zealous for the law and maintain the covenant, let him follow me. So what does it say? It says, so he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that they had in the city. Right? Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. And that goes back to the birth pain. That goes back to, you know, when time comes, there will be consequences. You're going to wish that you have brothers and sisters, because even in second Esdras it says that we shall desire to see one another and shall not be able to. Because why? The cities are going to be shut off. You know what I'm saying? Streets are going to be shut off. Martial law will be in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So the scripture says that these will be the consequences for us not gathering together. So we have to make that conscious choice, you know, to do what Yahweh said in the first place and gather together. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the times when you look through our Maccabees, they weren't without each other. Imagine a brother trying to stand up for righteousness in the midst of so much wickedness, and he has no brother there, no sister there to be like, no, don't do it. Stand up for the laws and stand up for the laws of Yahweh. Same thing with the mother in Second Maccabees. She told her children, no, die for Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? Die for Yahweh. How you gonna muster up that spirit unless Yahweh give you that measure of faith? How you gonna muster up that spirit alone? You know what I'm saying? Even in the book of Daniel, the three brothers, man, they were together. They were together. You know what I'm saying? And they had full faith in Yahweh. They were not going to bow down to that statue, man, for nothing. While everybody else bowed down, they stood up for Yahweh and said, "Hey, if you're gonna throw us in the fire, so be it. You know, if we get consumed, so be it. We still gonna go do it for Yahweh's will." But how you gonna muster up that spirit being alone? Because at the end of the day, when the time we may say, "Oh well, you know, life is still going on." They always spoke about wars. Wars always been happening. Okay, well, the Most High said that. Or Yahweh said that certain things will be coming to pass, you know, rumors of wars and things of that nature. And eventually, Yahweh's word don't come back void.
So what you got to understand is that when you read the book of Maccabees, The reason they were able to do what they were doing and to be safe is because we had already gathered together as a nation. They weren't scattered all around the world and then said, hey, the Greeks are coming down on us, so we gotta get together now. They were already in the gathering of the nation. Right now, there's no gathering of our nation. We're surrounded by Gentiles. We have no place we can go to and say, this is a safe place for Israelites to come to. And we got you can belong in this church. And that's why the city is there too. If we in the city, you gotta have people in the city and people in the country. Everybody in the city may not make it to the country. You may have to figure out your own country plan. We're giving you the tools that you need to get to where you need to be to. So the only reason we have the story about Maccabees is because all of the 12 tribes were together. First, they were already gathered together. And then from that gathering, there was another gathering of those people that were what? Zealous for the law. That was zealous for the law. And they said, okay, yeah, we zealous for the law. Now what we gotta do? We gotta give up everything and go to these woods and these caves, man, these mountains. But ain't nobody even asking you to give up nothing. You can take all your possessions. I've given up my stuff. But I know it's an easier way. So the trail has already been blazed for you in a sense. But spiritually, the Torah and understand the commandments and walking in obedience, that is the step where you need to be at first. And everybody's not there. Everybody's attitude isn't where it should be at. Everybody's response isn't where it should be at. Everybody's mindset isn't where it needs to be. Everybody's level of obedience to the commandments isn't where it needs to be. When you start keeping the commandments, then you can start to see more of the Holy Spirit, and it starts to purge wickedness out of you, purge sin out of you. All right, by mercy and being truthful and walking in truth. The scripture says, by mercy and truth, iniquity is purged, man. It's purged like that. So everybody, you got to increase your obedience. The breakdowns are wonderful. But where's the obedience? Where's the true repentance? Where's the lifestyle change? No, I'm in the truth. I got this job and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I got my place I live at. I got my responsibilities, my bills, so on and so forth. But like I said, I had the luxury of formulating my life around the Torah, because I came into this so young, not without no bills, without no house, without no apartment, no mortgage, no car note. I came into this thing so young that I didn't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. I could say, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and that's how I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna keep the Sabbath. So you got that same advantage to see it from that perspective. I wasn't taught that coming in. Coming in, we was told that we could work on the Sabbath because we're in captivity. But you can't be great in the kingdom teaching somebody they could break the commandments. So what's the point that I'm making? The point that I'm making is that you don't have to blaze the trail. The trail has already been blazed for you. You just have to walk behind Hamashiach, an example that's being set for you through the example of Hamashiach. It's not nothing that's being done where somebody can say, well, that's wicked, that's evil, that don't make no sense, or that's exploitative. You see? So you got to look at the whole view of everything and say, well, where do I fit into this equation? Spiritually, where am I? I mean, you know where you are spiritually. I hope you do, unless you are that, burdened with a spirit of pride. You know what are your weaknesses. For the men, the weakness is either passiveness or procrastination. For the women, your main weakness is as Yeshaya used to say at the school, in New York City, in Harlem, is your big fat mouth. The Black woman, the Israelite woman, the Latina woman, the Black American woman, the Native woman, West African woman, her biggest problem is her mouth. And the man's biggest problem is moving based on her mouth. Is constantly eating that fruit. Constantly eating that fruit. When the Most High told you, your desire shall be to the man, he shall rule over you. So when you say, I'm gonna rule over myself, and you have to follow my lead, you out of order. That's the wicked spirit of Eve on you. When Paul said, I suffer not the woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, you're not going to mistake me for acting like a woman. So I shouldn't mistake you for acting like a man, for taking on characteristics, personality traits of a man. There's a difference between a man and a woman. So you know your biggest problem. I know what my problem is in my mind and my spirit. Who's examining you? Who's examining you? Who are you confessing your sins to? Who are you saying, man, I'm struggling with this? Some of y'all have never came for no counsel. Some of y'all, I wish I had the perfect life that y'all had. Well, you don't need no help with shit. You got it all figured out on your own. Shit, I'm a 52-year-old man. I still got to get counsel from my father, from Zaquan Nathaniel. I wish I was like you, where I ain't ask nobody for, I can make my own life decisions on my own and don't got to get no counsel from nobody like the Bible says to do. I wish I was like you. Maybe we need to switch places. You need to be in my seat and I need to be in your position since you so perfect. You don't ask nobody about nothing. And I don't know who you're asking, so I'm just, and this is the crazy thing about it. As I'm talking, I'm thinking to myself that, okay, I know this brother haven't said nothing to me about something, but I know this brother has mentioned in passing that this brother said something to him about this situation. So I'm not talking to you specifically, because I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't know who's calling, Shara, or who's calling, Rapayala, or who's calling Hadassah. I don't know who's calling anybody about counsel. So I'm just saying if this is one of them things to where if you felt convicted in your spirit and it applied to you, you need to change. Because this was one of those, close my eyes and throw a dart at the dartboard situations. One of those, if the shoe fits, wear it. That wasn't directed to nobody. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, I should have said crap. Like, don't nobody know crap. And and you really have to start to think about. You have to start to think about, like where this fervor is coming from. Because mostly, well, shoot, let me see. Only one person on this call was there. There's only one other person on this call that sat under Masha talking. That sat under Arya talking. There's only one other person on this call that went to the Passovers in New York City before the big split happened, that actually sat with the women and the men of that era. Okay? So you're developing a whole persona by yourself based on social media relationships. We didn't have that luxury. We didn't have that luxury. But some of you have access, to myself or to other brothers that actually give good counsel and advice about different situations in the scriptures are used as the backup, not the backup, but the support for all these different actions that's being suggested on what to do. But then again, like, you know, and I know, like, and I know, and like you brothers and you sisters that reach out for your different problems, and you know who you are. And the ones that reach out to other brothers and sisters that I don't know about, you know, and that other person you reach out to, you know who you are. But the ones of you that's listening that don't reach out to nobody about no problem that you have in your life, the Bible always tells you that two are better than one. And of course, if I'm asking, you know, and I'm not talking about your wife. I'm not talking about, you know, because of course your wife is going to be more along this. I don't say, okay, what's your wife? What should I do? What do you think about it? No, I'm talking to a man about certain things, whether you're a man or a woman. I mean, you know, if you call, you know, Shara about womanly things and decisions, career choices, you know, she's been there, done that. Career choices, relocation, you know, loans, student loans. She might be in deferment still. I don't know. But I don't know what happened to my student loans. I mean, I don't know what happened. Hey, I don't know what happened to my student loans. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they got erased or something.
So, like it, I don't mean to cut your wisdom off, but I need you to say this so that way everybody knows. I don't think everybody knows. It's not to put you on the spot, you or Amashar on the spot. What careers did you guys give up in order to follow Yahweh? And what did Amashara, because you told Amashara that she had to give that up so that way y'all can go, and she yielded. You know what I'm saying? So I need you to put that out there one more time for the people in the back that didn't get the memo.
Yeah, first off, I didn't, you know, everything she's done has been voluntary. I've never forced her or commanded her to do nothing in terms of that. So nah, I didn't say you're going to quit your job. We said, hey, we want to go here. Matter of fact, she went and scouted the place first and said, this is a place. And I feel in my spirit, she is the one that got the confirmation in her spirit from going first. My first international move was relocation, was to Belize. And she's the one to say that, okay, this is where we need to be. I feel this in my spirit, and this is why I feel it in my spirit. This is what happened. These are the spiritual experiences, and these are the secular experiences that I had, and the spiritual meaning behind it. These are the dreams I had. So she came back cheerleading that, yeah, we definitely need to go and do X, Y, Z. I think she was on vacation, and I was still on my job. She was working. You know when you go into limited stores, right? Limited stores. What's the other one? Structure and all of those limited type stores. The men's side and the women's side, the Old Navy type stores, but just under Lex Westner and limited and Bath and Body Works and all of that. She was the part of the team that dealt with the manufacturers before they got the authorization to make millions and millions of these pieces of clothing. It had to go through her. It had to go through her. She had to like approve and test all of that, either quality control, the production, quality control, the her bachelor's of science was in was dealing with textiles and fashion and the sourcing process of merchandising, the science behind merchandising, which is everything from where the stuff is, where you're growing the stuff at, what fabric you're using, to it being inside of the store. So anywhere along that chain, she could insert herself and know what to do, whether it's making the fabric, polyester, linen, cotton, wool, being tested to see the batch, the quality of it, the chemical composition of it for authenticity, to the weaving of it by the machines, and the manufacture of it, and then the testing of it, and then the distribution of it, and then it getting here, and then being sent to her to be tested again, to be like, okay, cool. And then of course, we getting all them samples. We was getting all the samples and stuff, like all the samples that was good. You don't send them back. You keep all that stuff. So we was getting like all of the good clothes before they even came out. You know what I'm saying? And then they would have like the different manufacturing sales in Columbus, Ohio, because that's the headquarters for the limited company. All the limited stores, headquartered there. So that was her job. That was her job. My job was a logistics. I was like a senior international logistics coordinator, dealing between you heard of Novamex and Humex from Mexico. I was dealing with the accounts of Novamex and Humex, the Jarritos drinks that y'all got, especially in the Latino community. I was in charge of, from the manufacturing process to moving it from the manufacturer to the hundreds of tractor trailers taking it to the train, and a train taking it from Texas, taking it from Mexico to Texas, or Mexico to Texas to Chicago on the CN rail, on CSX rail, on the Pacific rail, whatever, like all of the railroads, and just making this stuff to get from point A to point B. And I got like hundreds and hundreds, of loads like every day, like that. But it's all automated through your main tool is your EDI, which is your electronic data interchange, which is you knowing where each thing is at any given moment through a site code that you look up in your system. And once you know where it is, now you got to. So I was a senior international logistics coordinator, and I had to do this stuff sometimes from scratch. Meaning that if there's no, you say, well, yeah, I want to go from Chiapas, Mexico to Toronto, Canada. So you just, and then, the airline will just do it all for you. Well, I had to do everything from scratch based on a time schedule of when it was supposed to be up in Toronto and how long it's going to take to get from every leg of that trip, and do it manually. It wasn't just look it up. I had to go into their system and look up everything manually and build those routes. So that was my job. And I was, when I left, I was just about to get this is when everything first started. I'm talking like early 2000s. I was just about to get a promotion too. When I just left. Now, before that, somebody look in a computer right now. Look up what is the equivalent of $17.78 right now. Somebody look that up real quick. Probably I'll look that up real quick. Or my shot of people whose face I can see. Them the only one. What is the equivalent? $17.78. What is that equivalent now from 1994? How much is that worth? How much is that now? $17.78.
That was money in 94.
Well, let's look it up and see what, economically, like, what is it? Somebody look it up.
What was the recession in the 90s?
Recession. I'm not sure. I'm talking about I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How much is it now?
$17 in 1994 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $37.16 today.
All right, so I was making roughly $37 an hour on an entry level at NASA. I was working at NASA when I first came into the truth. I was working at NASA, but they wanted me working on the Sabbath. And they wanted me to, you know, I shave my beard and all that, and you had to keep doing it. So I stopped working there. I stopped working there. I was working at NASA, making $17.78, 17, I think 1778, 1779, something like that, in 1994 on an entry level, because my father, who was like a civil engineer out at there, that's what you would call it, had got me a job out there, you know. But I went back to college to teach. Once summer was over, I went back to college to teach, to teach on campus and to go to my classes a little bit, you know. And my major that I studied when I was in college was IET, Industrial Engineering Technology, which deals kind of like the same thing that Sharad deals with, but my aspect would have been engineering the machines for industrialization. Like the machines that she would use for the manufacturing, it would be my job to design those machines, to do stress tests, or to test those machines, and to take those machines from design to finished product. Any industrial type machine, IET, industrial engineering technology. Okay. So I decided to focus on, I would have done things a little differently, but I would have still made the same sacrifice that I made, but I probably would have made them a little differently. In other words, I didn't understand my full rights as an Israelite. So I could have approached these situations a little differently and with more confidence and with more legal backing. I didn't have the wisdom on how to deal with them situations like that, you know, at that age, you know. So you're dealing with the technical, the manufacturing, and the business side of what's called fashion merchandising. That's what she studied, and I studied industrial engineering technology, and then I was a senior international logistics coordinator, people and computers and programs. That was all my whole day in Spanish, no less. So of course in Spanish, no less. So now, when you look at the fact that, before that, if I'm not mistaken, I was working, I was helping companies set up international branches in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, which was a buyers group. So I helped them set up the office that they had in Puerto Rico, and was coordinating between the upper management in my company and the upper management in these companies, and going to the meetings and hosting like negotiations and stuff with these people when they would come into town. All right. But dealing with them on the phone and on the computer again and setting up their program, where they are. And this is before Google Translate. So I had to just, say everything that I need to understand what they were saying. You know what I'm saying? Had a few blue collar jobs too. But anyway, yeah, long story short with Payala, that's kind of what we gave up per se. Yeah. So it wasn't me saying, "Hey, do this." It was her saying, "Yeah, we need to do this." I'm really feeling. I mean, even now, I mean, if I'm being honest with her, like if I can be transparent and honest, like she wants to do everything here. Like she wants to do everything here. You know what I'm saying? Like she felt like, well, we could do everything we're trying to do here. And not really even be on that side of the border here, or like if she had her way, If she had her way and could be anywhere in the world, it would be Turkey. So she don't even want to be in this part of the world, bro. Like straight up and down. Like she don't even want to be no place near none of this. Like she did not want to leave from Turkey. So that's when I had to say, like, no, but we had dreams and confirmation. So that's when I had to say, like, hey, look, we going, because we couldn't deny all of the signs to go. We couldn't deny the signs to go. But she's like, okay, we're here now, and like, what should we do? Like, what should we do? Or how are we going to do it? And like, well, America. And so now we're looking at, so now we're seeing that, like, if we set up our our system first, we can go be anywhere we want. We ain't got to worry about nothing. So now you're not just waiting on a business to give you money online or selling stuff, online. Like, and because it's like, we won't even tell y'all, like, we got online stuff. We sell businesses and businesses that we have and what we do and all. Because it's like, we don't want it to be that. We don't want it to be misconstrued as us trying to make merchandise off of the people. So we won't even have these conversations like, oh yeah, go to the website and buy this and blah blah blah, because we ain't promoting that. We promoting that's like I see that as a separate entity. Then she's like, well, we can make garments and blah blah. So we got, we have garments and stuff that my sons make and sell them, and that she makes and I design and sell them and stuff like that. But it's not like we're looking to you to be the consumer for these products. It's passive. But now we set up this passive, real passive, where we ain't dealing with no vendors. We dealing with, or no people that want to buy stuff. We're dealing with people that want to live with a roof over their head, and we can passively have X amount coming in every month, and we're down south. Then we ain't really got to worry about, a whole lot of problems, financial problems or whatever, Rapaya Allah. So that's how everything kind of evolved to where it is now. But I mean, honestly, but being here, I'm looking at things from one perspective, and she's looking at it from a different, perspective. She's looking at it as like her way, and I'm looking at it more like as a international Israelite nation way. She can flex either way, but I'm looking at it for the nation. She's looking at it, okay, as any woman, like my immediate family and me, what's the best thing for us right now? But she can yield and say, okay, we can still have what's best for us and have what's better for us if we make this sacrifice right now. So she's willing to make the sacrifice, say, okay, we're going to go up to America and do this for our family and for the people, and get and secure these things. But nobody's twisting nobody's arm. Nobody's saying you must do. There's no resistance. There's no pull. Like if I'm saying like, yo, we see this, we could do X, Y, Z, da, da, da. She's like, okay, yeah, I can see that. We should do that. And if she's like, hey, yeah, we should go here, X, Y, Z. This what happened when I went there. And we're like, okay, cool. Let's go there. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how things develop and go. So we're talking from mutual cooperation, a mutual respect for each other's intelligence and perspective, and never like saying you must do this, but just seeing and knowing that this is the best option on the table right now when you consider these factors right here.
Khan, I stand corrected on that. Salakia Amashra, and the water for yielding and being like, that takes a lot, especially with a woman with a job. The water for yielding to the spirit. That and one thing that I do want to point out, because I was looking for my notebook, I was going like this, I couldn't find it. This is why, and it's not to put you in a specific place. It's just, this is why like I told you before, you're qualified to teach me. You know, when Yahweh was showing me that you're literally qualified. So you're qualified not only, and I'm not speaking for everybody else right now. I'm speaking about me specifically. You're qualified to teach me. You're qualified to teach me how to move around. You know, because even though I am 37, I still have my little hiccups where I still may not understand how to move certain things around. And so you step in and literally, like logistically speaking, you move them around for me because I had no idea about that. You guys are taking your skill set and literally use them for the nation. So overall, you and Amashara are qualified. But when you say that you and Amashara are qualified, usually you say it with knowing all of this stuff. We don't know any of this, and that's why I wanted you to say that outright. Because you literally know what it is that you're doing. At 20 years old, you were like 20, 21, and you were making the equivalent of almost $40 an hour during that time. Like, we wasn't doing that. But I know it wasn't doing that. People be 20 years old and not making that type of money. So that's why I feel like it's very important. It's very important that people make their decisions. People make the decisions that they feel that they need to make for them and their families. Because this is something that's really happening. I told Zaquan, you know, maybe we need to make a PSA about how we are moving along in terms of Ohio and so on and so forth, because we have so much background work that we're doing that we're not verbally saying anything. So this is also kind of what that is. I'm on the way to getting a quadruplex. I just have to find it. Karash Allah is on his way to finding a quadruplex. He already talked to the broker, I believe. And Zaquan himself, he's looking for property. So, you know, this isn't some imaginative thing where it's like, oh, everybody, you know, let's go to Idaho and grow potatoes. Like, it's not. That's definitely not what this is. You know, and we want people to participate. Why? Because, man, like, we love y'all. It took me a while to open up from my shell because I don't trust anybody. I'm very, very cynical. I'm very cautious. I watch my step. That's why I haven't joined any camps or done anything, because, you know, not to speak ill of my brethren, I just feel a certain type of way about them. You know, and so now that I'm here and I'm interacting with all of you, it's like I feel cool. I feel good about my new family that I've acquired. I view you all as my family, even though, like Jay, for instance, I don't talk to you like that. I don't. But the one conversation that you did have between my rib and I was like, hey, man, Jay's dope. We literally sat down after that for like 15, 20 minutes talking about how we would like to have that same interaction, but in person, man. We were really talking about that, you know? And my mother-in-law, I'm trying to drag her all the way from Arkansas to wherever it is that we are. So, you know, again, if you feel like you're in a certain place in your life, like Zaquan said, you know, we ain't twisting nobody's arm to do nothing, but just know that, like, you're here because you want to be, and most likely you prayed for it because you got fed up with everybody else around you. Because I know I did. I really did. I just got fed up. I was like, yo, like, when are we going to be able to come together? When are we going to be able to do this? Who's doing what? Who's going to teach Torah properly, man? Why all I got to deal with these busted whoopie-whoopie-whoop, you know what, and you know what? Like I was getting frustrated. And then there it was. It was just sitting in front of my face. So now I'm making the moves, the appropriate moves. Because before I really didn't have a sense of direction. I didn't know where I was going. You know, Yahweh would send me to different places and so on and so forth. But now, like, it's like I have a definite protocol, and I'm literally like on the move. My biggest hang up is procrastination, because I see everything in my mind, and then I'm like, bro, that's a lot. I don't even want to do that mess. Another thing is control, because I want things to move at a certain pace and at a certain rate. And then when a wild card pops up and I see it, I try to prepare for it, or something it just bombs. I just F it off. Let's start over. I don't even want to do that no more. I don't even want to go over there anymore. So, you know, but I've gotten a little better with the control part. But as soon as you said procrastination, that hit me in my chest, because I'm looking on the floor and I see all my notes on the floor, and I'm like, I know I have to organize this, but I just be procrastinating.
Right.
But I try to be as transparent as I possibly can. I try to be as honest as I possibly can. And I mean, my rib, she's cool. She's cool. Anything that she really has a problem with, she just runs it past I'm a Shabbat. You know, and for the brothers that think that, like, oh, you know, Pi Allah it's rib. No. There was a time where I was very passive aggressive towards my rib, man. Like, for real, I was seriously passive aggressive towards her, because I seriously felt bad about transplant stem and how I delayed our lives. I felt bad that I dragged like a freaking 20-year-old, a 21-year-old, somebody who was 10 years younger than me, because I was still thinking American, like, and I just made her life like this. So I would let her slide and get by with slick remarks, and I would just let things roll. And then Yahweh started pressing into me. He really started pressing into me, because I noticed I started to let her sin about certain things that I knew about, like Torah-wise. And then Yahweh really started pressing into me. And I saw him, and so finally I got up, and I sat down and I had to talk with her, like, look, this is how this is going to go. You can't do this anymore. I'm apologizing to you for what happened, but now we have to move forward. Like, it is what it is. You just got to take it on the chin, bite it, and do it. Like, you decided to get involved with this marriage. You knew what was going to happen, and so did I. So it is what it is. Let's just roll. I just didn't know that it was going to happen like this. And after that, we moved along accordingly. So, you know, my thing hasn't been all glitz and glamour, and you know, I just got the obedient wife. And no, this is 6-7 years, bro. This is 6-7 years of some type of back and forth. And you know, the respite that I've gotten has probably just been post leaving my grandmother's house a year later. So I'm seeing a 2-year flourishing of after my little cultivation of my rib. You know what I'm saying? So it's only been like 2 years, 2.5 years maybe. So you can get there, and it is possible. And my life isn't perfect, and we still have our hangups. But all in all, like we're here to help you. Zaquan's here to help you. Sharon's here to help you. We're not here to like be in your business and be in your life and talk about you and say stuff behind your back and backfight and do all of that stuff, man. Like, no, we really are a family unit, a militarized family unit at that. And I just kind of wanted to relay that. But I Salaki about question if I misspoke or talked out of turn.
Yeah, so you got to really, you know, once you get obedient to the Torah and you regulate your household that way, according to the Torah, and you get cooperation in your household according to the Torah, then stuff gets easier for you, spiritually and socially within your own space. You know, it gets a lot easier. You try it off. It gets a lot easier. You know, so you have to really think about the fact that it's not just about listening to what's going on. Nobody's saying, hey, move to Ohio tomorrow or blah, 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 but you really have to be in the mindset and the spirit of obedience to Yahweh. If you don't obey Yahweh, it doesn't matter what you do in any other area of your life, whether you're successful or whether you're a failure. But if you're obedient to Yahweh, it doesn't matter what you do in any other side of your life, whether you're successful or a failure. See, one is stipulated, everything hinges upon your obedience or your disobedience to Yahweh. Now, unfortunately, for a man, obedience to Yahweh also means being obedient to the judges and elders that are over you, if you see that as being unfortunate. But it's only unfortunate if you want to be the end all be all outside of what Yahweh has said to do. And if you're a woman, it's unfortunate for you that you have to yield to another man. The same elders, but now you got to yield to your husband also. But it's not unfortunate unless you want to be the end all be all for yourself. You see that? So you have to be obedient. And unfortunately, Yahweh regulates what you can and can't eat. He micromanages you, or don't eat that. I don't want you wearing that. He tells you this is how I want you to be. It's his temple. It's his body. So you have to regulate your life according to that. Don't work on these days. Work on these days. If you just worry about being obedient to the Most High as a center of how you gauge your success, then you'll be more successful in that endeavor. But if you're thinking about, if you consider having a roof over your head, having money in your bank account to be the epitome of you being successful, then you're going to disobey Yahweh, because you're not looking at him as that indication of where you are. You're looking at, oh, money, my roof. So when push comes to shove and you got a choice between having food in your belly or telling people that are trying to kill a brother when the crap hits the fan where he is, which one are you going to choose? See, if Torah isn't your focus, you are a liability to the nation, straight up and down. You're a liability. Why? Because you will sell out for whatever you see is a benefit. You don't got that Maccabees mindset. Maccabees mindset was, man, we ain't selling out for nothing. We got to die. We got to die. And the man died. Your mindset is, man, I'm not dying. So, I'm going to break these commandments, right? And how do I know that? Because you're breaking the commandments now for free. You're breaking the commandments now for free for a job. What happens when you don't got no job and you still need food, and now you got to break these commandments to get food? What's going to happen then? So you have to put obedience to the Most High at the center of your existence, and you have to navigate around that. Obedience is at the center, and everything else is on the outside. All right. The sister said, crazy how, well, I don't know. I think this is the sister talking and not her husband. It says, crazy how he said something close to us being like family to him. I said that earlier. I guess in her household, the sister saying, or the brother saying that they said that earlier. I said, those who practice nation building and polygyny are my true family in Yah. And I'll put a footnote on that. Not necessarily those that practice it per se, but those that don't have a hang up against people practicing any aspect of Hebrew culture in 2025, 26 going forward. Let me put that disclaimer. And I'll say this emotionally also. You got a problem with Esau and Jacob, right? Do you stop having more than one baby? Esau and Jacob, they didn't get along. You got a problem with Ishmael and Isaac. Do you say, well, we're only going to have one son now? Because every time in the Bible, Solomon and the dude Tamar, she was violated by her brother. And Solomon's brother tried to take the throne from him. So do you say, I'm only going to have one son or one daughter so that these things don't happen? No, you don't. You don't say, well, I'm only going to do this. It's your choice. If you want to have one son, have one son. Want to keep trying to, you have a daughter, have a daughter. If you want to have one wife, have one wife. If you want to have two if that's what you want. Because you find way more problems in the Bible between people that have children, more than one child, than you do with people that got more than one wife. Let's understand that. Gideon's problem is that his brothers got jealous of him. Abraham, there was infighting. His workers were fighting against Lot's workers. And then Abraham's sons were fighting. And let's go Paul's route. Let's go Paul's route. Paul said, you know, if you want to marry, marry, but I wish that everybody could be like me. Paul said, don't even worry about them women. So if you want to use Paul's examples and use the Bible, Paul ultimately said, man, don't even get married if you cannot get married. That's what his suggestion was. All right. His suggestion was don't get married at all as a man. Then he came back and said, if you're a woman under 60, you need to get married. If you're a woman under 60, you need to stay married. He said, I want the younger women to marry. Then he said, if you ain't married, you know, and you older or whatever, he said, if you ain't married generically, he said, just abide as I abide. But look at all the stories in the Bible. Any story that involved another woman with the man, it always worked out for the good of the nation. It never worked out for the bad of the nation overall. Esau and Jacob. Jacob still came out top according to the prophecy. All right. Rebecca and not Rebecca, but Rachel and Leah. We still got the 12 tribes of Israel. That's just you having a little Jacob having a little bit of discord in his house for the benefit of having the 12 tribes of Israel is a very small price to pay. He wasn't worried about, oh, my wife feel like this and Leah and Rachel are going to feel like this if I do this. He was like, nah, what's the long picture? The Most High promised me this. I'm going to go on a promise, not on somebody's emotions. Most High don't care about your emotions and feelings when you're going against the structure and the options he set up. When you give yourself a choice, when you present somebody with a choice that not even a choice, a lot of y'all present choices as demands. Look up the word heresy and what does it ultimately mean? What is the root meaning of the word heresy? And this is what a lot of people be engaging in and don't even realize it. All right. And I'll just go to my Google search. Roots meaning of heresy. Anybody got it up? Let me pull it up. It says the root meaning of heresy comes from the ancient Greek hiedesis, which means choice, thing chosen. From the original meaning, it evolved to refer to a school of thought or sect, right? A school of thought or a sect in Christian context or biblical Hebrew context was used to describe a belief or practice that departed from established orthodox doctrine. Orthodox meaning the straight path, meaning this is the path that you can and should walk on. So you present somebody with a side path off of this straight path is considered to be a heresy. So you telling somebody, oh, nothing's wrong with you physically, you just don't got no money, you poor, oh, you should only have one child. That's a heresy. That's a heresy. And the same thing, oh, you poor, you poor, you got one wife, oh, you should only have one wife. And then Oh, you rich? You want another baby? Oh yeah, you rich. Go ahead and have another baby. Oh, you rich? You want another wife? Oh, you should only still have one. Oh, you got to work on the Sabbath? Oh, we in captivity. That's a heresy. We got to work on the Sabbath because we in captivity. No, you don't got to work. It's Gentiles that to do that. They don't need you 24/7. Okay? So when you start promoting a choice or an option or thought that go outside of the Orthodox Hebrew custom and culture and the law, you're bordering on heresy. You're bordering on heresy. And you better be very careful because that spirit, that demon, is going to enter into you being out of order in other areas. Because now you start justifying yourself to say, well, you know what? I was like, for example, I was super mad at the Most High one time. I was like super mad at him. I got like mad at the Most High. I don't know if I was super mad, but I got mad at the Most High. And my thought was like, man, I see all these other guys breaking the laws, breaking the commandments, and here I am trying, and they all getting ahead in what they trying to do. They all building. They all progressive and got progress in building their little organizations, their camps and schools or whatever. But it's like I'm not making no progress. I'm doing the right thing. So you know what, man? And I said, you know what, man? Let me try something. So I said, man, you know what? So what I did, I said, I'm gonna go get me something to eat. Everybody else buying food and water and stuff on the Sabbath when they go to teach, and nothing happened to them. Shoot, they getting money from people. They getting trips. They got plane rides, and I don't want none of that. I'm just a regular dude. I do all my stuff myself, and I'm teaching the people in this particular area, in these particular people, I'm focused. So I said, man, I'm gonna go and get me something to eat, man. It was a Sabbath. So I went out, and now I went out on the Sabbath before with a brother, and I didn't buy nothing, but he wanted to go to a mall. I said, oh, I'm gonna go to the mall with him. So I went to the mall with him. I ain't buy nothing, and I'm like using my phone, and my phone drop, and the screen just go black. So then I go back another day, and I get the screen fixed. So now I got the same phone fixed, ain't dropping it, and phones don't just go black when you drop it. So now I say, okay, the Most High, he ain't punishing these guys. They wicked. These brothers is wicked, man. But they ain't getting punished, man. Why do I got to do it as strenuously as they doing it, and they getting away with doing wrong? They getting away with doing the wrong thing. They not being obedient to the Most High. Why should I have to be obedient in this particular situation, man? So I said, man, I ain't go crazy. I said, I'm gonna go out and buy me some food. So I bought me some food. I think the Sabbath is just starting out. I'm gonna buy me some food. I'm hungry. So go and buy the food, and then get back. And then that same phone fell into the dang on toilet, man. Just all my data, all my information, all my financial stuff, everything just gone, just wet, just gone. Like I couldn't do nothing else with that. So now it's like, like the Most High gonna deal with us as a what? As a father chastise his son. And if you ain't getting that chastisement, you ain't none of his. That's why everybody else ain't going through what you're going through. They not none of his. You either getting disciplined and chastised for doing wrong, or you're getting put through the fire to come out stronger. And it's better for you to be getting disciplined. It's better for you to get the discipline to go through the fire to be stronger as opposed to getting punished for doing wrong. So that was my answer. You know, he chastised those whom he loved. And the Most High, the scripture say he hates a sinner. And he hates sin. And all sin is an abomination to him. So why is he going to be bothered with me if I'm doing these abominations and I don't care? He's not. Go ahead and do your thing, man. Don't worry about it. Whatever you do is going to be by your own power. And that's kind of where we were. So don't get discouraged because everybody else, and don't get distracted on your own plan and your own goals. Stay focused on that obedience and move with the body. Be connected to the body. Don't just say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that on my own. Fit what you need to do inside of the body, talk to the body, and see if there's a solution or a way that everything can work together, all right, in order, decently and in order, man. You know, so that's what we need to, you know, to focus on and to do. And if we do that, you know, we'll be okay. But again, I want to put the emphasis on not on you just relocating someplace, but on you getting yourself born again, becoming a new creature. Renew your mind, obey. You know, because a lot of confrontations and discussions we have over the phone or internet or whatever, it's going to be different in person. Because I'm gonna feel that once I feel that energy in person, it's only gonna be so many times I'm gonna respond with humility before you may have to get gone off on for your wickedness that you're trying to perpetrate against me or trying to hide something. You know, so I mean, in other words, like if you walking around drunk or whatever, or you walking around high, you walk around popping pills and sniffing, you know, white powder or whatever, it's gonna be different in person because now we're gonna see, oh man, what they doing? Like we need to, whatever pronoun you may be, what they doing, whether it's a he or she, a gender, a true gender he or she, what they doing? What are you talking about? What are you doing? Well, you can't be doing that. What's wrong with you? And that's how you got that form. Do you got any type of addiction problem? Any type of drug problem? Is everything you saying true? Because we want to know. Because we can't see that. But there's reason why you acting the way you acting, and why you making the moves that you making, and why you feel the way you feel that we don't know. And that could be the reason, a lot of the reason for the reluctance. So you start making decisions that are not heretical. Don't be a heretic. Exercise and respect people's exercising of the rights that Yahweh has given them. All right? Because that's all it means. It means you choosing or you promoting an option or a belief or practice that is not orthodox. So everything that's orthodox is open, you know, for discussion, to be an option for you. You can't take no option off the table. You know, like in other words, let me put it to you like this: and he that has ears to hear, let him hear. My child cannot come to me and say, you cannot have no more children. I'm the last child you're going to have. You cannot have no more children. No, my child cannot come and say that to me. Like I said, he that has ears, let him hear. And my child cannot come to me and say, well, you gotta, your son is bad, man. So I think that, he's a bad seed. So you probably don't need to have no more, bad seeds. Okay, well, what if I could have another seed? What if I could adopt another son that's in Christ and walking righteously? Would that be okay now? Yes. Okay, so what if I got a wife that's bad like a son, but not as bad as a bad son, And I got another wife that I can get that's walking uprightly in Christ. What's the problem now? We all family in Christ. What's the problem? See, what's the problem? And I'm still going off the sister's comment about polygyny and building. She brought it up, not me. What's the problem now? Now the problem is what? The works of the flesh. What work of the flesh is that? Jealousy. Or the other one is envy. Or another one could be, see, that's why you got a whole teaching on the works of the flesh. I did a whole teaching on the works of the flesh. Either you came across it or you got better things to do than to see lessons and classes that your elder, has done since YouTube been out. Maybe you got other things to do than just scroll through the videos that we got out there that are going to be helpful and beneficial towards you as an individual and us as a nation. All right? Because mathematically speaking, any mother, any woman knows that it costs far more to provide for, to feed, to take care of, and to clothe a child than a grown adult. That adult has the option of being a part of the economic structure of the family. The child is on the outside, at least for the first few years of their life. You got to carry them around. A grown adult woman can walk on her own. You got to burp them and feed them and change them. A grown adult woman can do all that on her own. You got to watch them so they don't fall. A grown adult woman can't fall. You got to cook for them. A grown adult woman can cook. You got to wash the child's clothes. A grown adult woman can wash clothes. You got to tell them exactly what needs to be what and how to do it. A grown adult woman can bring intellect, experience, and science and background and perspective to the table to enhance any family structure. So the problem is that a lot of women are in the flesh. They think they're in the spirit, but they're not. They in the flesh. And they would tell you, I'm in the flesh. And that's what I think maybe that's what the sister on YouTube, maybe that's what she meant, that her family is the ones that are trying to nation build and the ones that are those that practice nation building and polygyny are my true family in Yah. So that's what she said, but there was no other comment. There was no other comment after that though that she made. All right. So, but I can understand where she's coming from because it's not necessarily that you're engaging in that right now, practicing it per se. I'm gonna just take what she said and edit it, but that you believe that this is a righteous option, and sometimes even one or the other, a necessity. Nation building is a necessity. Polygyny is not a necessity per se, but it's an option that must be respected. Shoot, you can read the Articles of Belief. It's in the Articles of Belief. It say monogamy and polygyny shall be respected as lawful and righteous family choices. So you can't respect it and say don't do it. Oh, the sister came back and said, yes, they are closer to Yah in spirit, more likely refined and purged of impurities than those who are against nation building and polygyny. Okay. So she's putting those two as the true test of a person's, a person's spiritual intention. But now I will say this though. I will say this just to kind of land me back. Some women that practice and believe in polygyny have the same emotional trauma as a woman that only believes in monogamy, and they can bring the same chaos, destruction, and the same drama to the marriage table as a woman that believes in monogamy. So be careful of that also. just, in my experience of watching things for the past 3+ decades, this is just something that I've noticed. All right. Just like a lesbian thinks that, oh, I'm going to leave a man. And then they end up in 5 different lesbian relationships after that. The same way a man would say, well, I'm going to practice polygyny. Then that wife leaves. Another wife comes in that the women that leave a polygamous relationship believe in polygamy, or at least say they believe in it. So there has to be there has to be a general filter that's above whether nation building or polygyny, because you can believe in both of those. I mean, guess what? The women in the Bible, Jezebel believed in polygyny too. But it is a good indicator, though. I would say that it is a good indicator, but a woman that believes in monogamy only and really, really, really observes the Torah will respect the decision that her head makes and will not use it as a bargaining chip in that relationship because she respects it. Even if she personally doesn't really feel it or ain't believing in it herself personally, if she's locked into the Torah, then her spirit can get locked in to respect and honor the choice that her husband makes. That's all you need. If she says, I respect and honor this man, and I respect and honor what Yahweh said, that my desire shall be to him, and that he shall rule over me, then whatever she's practicing or believing, she's down with the scriptures. She's down with the law. All right. So she ain't gonna be like, nah, don't do that. If you do that, I'm leaving you or whatever. It's not about that. It's about, hey, well, you know what? He's my head and I'm submitting to him and I must obey him. So I'm going to obey and respect him and support him in this choice that he's made, because I'm the helpmeet. I'm not the boss. I'm not the chastiser. I'm the helper. I'm the Izar. That's what I'm doing. I'm here to help, and I'm here to be ruled over. To be ruled over. You want to, people say, oh yeah, you want to say kings. Well, how did the women approach the kings? Bathsheba committed adultery against her husband. Then when she wanted to go talk to King David, she went and talked to the priest and told the priest to go talk to David. She didn't try to put David on blast. When that woman, what's her name? Milcah. When she disrespected David, David said, all right, cool. You ain't gonna have no kids. Meaning what? I'm not gonna touch you again. So enjoy the rest of your life in celibacy. That's what her judgment was. And a lot of us, I'm gonna tell you the truth, and don't take this the wrong way. A lot of you may be carrying emotional baggage from reincarnation, not even from this lifetime, but from how you thought and felt and got hurt in other lives. And that's why you're going through what you're going through, because you haven't become a new creature. Once you become a new creature, all that trauma leaves you. All my childhood trauma, it's gone. Like it don't come up. I forget it. It's gone. And like trauma gets like wiped out. It's not suppressed, but it's just, before I came in the truth, I could bring it up. I could think about it. But now the Most High, years later, it only comes up when necessary as a protection. And it's usually not through me. It's usually through somebody else bringing it up, because they say, well, yeah, you did this before and this is what happened, So, yeah, so that's how everything is, everybody. But it's not about polygamy. It's about the commandments and respecting and honoring Hamashiach. If you respect and honor Hamashiach, you respect and honor the commandments, you respect and honor Yahweh, ain't gonna be no problems. Everything's gonna be okay. All right. But yeah, so I think we're gonna go ahead and get up off of here. Man, it's 2:09. It's been 4 hours. Now, if anybody wants to talk more, I mean, you can start let's wait a few minutes. We haven't eaten yet over here. Wait a few minutes. You can start a call in the dialogue group so we can kind of build and kind of keep going on this topic. So let's pick it up over there if anybody want to, keep everything going. If people want to say, okay, we're gonna go do this and do that and finish talking about stuff, let's take it over to the dialogue group so now people can tune in. But right now I'm doing an official class, so I got to end this and then we can get into the more and probably some of this gonna have to get edited off of YouTube also, so let's get back together. Like I said, you want to keep talking, go in the dialogue group. So we'll say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, we didn't end that prayer, did we?